Hey, friends! Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast with your host, Nicole
and Hannah. Come join us for some hopeful conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing.
Hey, everyone! We are back for another episode, and today I'm chatting with three-time Emmy award-winning writer of Netflix sensation A Christmas Prince and Hallmark's Christmas Camp, the movie and the novel, Karen Schaler. Welcome to the podcast, Karen.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. I love your
course.
Christmas set. We are ready for Christmas.
Thank you. Yes. Christmas all year round.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I joke about. People say, when aren't you writing Christmas? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I've just finished one, then I'm writing another, but we'll talk about it later. But I have my first non-Christmas rom-com coming out this spring. So that's fun and exciting too.
I'm excited.
But I still love Christmas. I mean, look, this is actually not a virtual wall behind me. This is a 10-foot by 10-foot set, and it is in my living room. So there you go. We'll have to tell the magic of started with COVID, when I couldn't be on movie sets, we just bring the movie set to your own living room.
Yes, of course. And Countdown to Christmas is starting today, which is exciting.
That's right. I love it. People get so mad when they say, some people, not us, not our people, not the people watching this, that we love Christmas, all the time. That's why we have Christmas in July. I mean, that's a thing, and that's important. My first Hallmark movie, Christmas Camp, came out as a Christmas in July feature. But some people say we have to wait until after Thanksgiving. And then there's some that say it has to be, at least Halloween. I don't agree. I think we need Christmas cheer all year long. And I think we can still honor, the different holidays of Thanksgiving and give it its love. But I'm so excited to start seeing programming as early as we can, because, depending on where you are in the country, it starts getting a little chilly. You get the fall feel in the air, and you just want to snuggle up with like your little, yes, I have to show you your little hot cocoa. I do not have hot cocoa in here. I wish I did. See, therefore, I have water. I know I wish I had a mimosa or something a little more exciting and a different glass, but this is my little Christmas camp. And, it cheers to the Hallmark movie and the books I did. But this is a time of year I get out my little mugs and I'm like, oh, cocoa and the movies. And we can just snuggle up and get all snuggly. So I'm so down for it. Let me tell you, I'm here.
Same. Me too. So my first question, just to start us off, what inspired you to become a writer? And is anyone else in your family involved in the creative field?
Oh, gosh, that's such a good question, Nicole.
Thank you.
My mom tells a story that I started off as a writer. She says, as soon as I basically came out of the womb, she said, I was talking in sentences. Now, my mom was a school teacher, so I think it had a lot to do. She read a lot to me. And she said I would tell stories and I would stand up on the little table and I'd make up stories about anything and everything. If we were in public and I saw people, I would start making up stories about their lives. Of course, my mom said it was always much more glamorous than the people's lives probably were. But I had this imagination and I had this big world. And I came from very modest means. I grew up north of Seattle in Washington State. It was my mom and I. And so, she was a public school teacher, middle school. And so, it wasn't like I grew up in the things that we see in these beautiful Christmas movies and the mansion and the fancy tree and all the fancy things here, but I dreamed about them. And that's why I think I wanted to be a writer. My mom and my grandma, I had my grandma, she was 104, bless her heart. I loved her to death. She was my best friend. And she read a book every day. And my mom reads a book every day. And I joked that when I was little, I saw that. And I thought, to get attention, I better write a book or I better write a movie because, my family loves storytelling. Now, my family, my grandma, it turns out, I didn't know this until she was 100 years old. She had short stories and she never shared them with anybody. So apparently I did inherit some of that. She would tell a good story, but I never knew she had anything written down. Till one day she finally said, these aren't probably any good. It's when my first novel came out. And she goes, but I want to share with you some of my short stories. And that meant the world to me. And she also encouraged me to be a writer. So besides the fact that I had my little dear diary when I was little and I would write like in second grade, I would say like, I saw Bobby in class. I like his red shirt. And then the next day it's, I don't like Bobby anymore. I mean, I just was reading this, it was hilarious, but it was detail oriented for a little kid. Like I would notice like what they were wearing or how they made me feel, like what we should do with characters. But my grandma was smart. They lived in Mexico. She was also from Washington, but they were snowbirds. And instead of going to Arizona, my grandma was thrifty. She said, let's just keep going over the border to Mexico and let's find a place to live there because it's going to be cheaper. So
Aw.
they did for 20 years and they love the Mexican culture. And so I learned so much about that. But my grandma bribed me. In Mexico, they have these beautiful tin ornaments and they're flattened tin and they're all hand painted. And it's a
Wow.
tradition, especially in the state of Sonora, where my grandma was. And she was in a little town called Alamos. And so I was obsessed with these ornaments. I've always loved Christmas. My birthday is a week before Christmas. So, and I have a family history of Christmas. So I'm all in. And my grandma, every time I'd write her a letter, this is when I was about 10, she would send me back an ornament with her letter. So of course I was like writing as fast as I could, as a little kid to try and get these ornaments that I still have and are some of my most precious ornaments. So
Oh,
that I feel like I don't remember a time when I didn't write. It's just my passion.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great story.
Oh, thank you.
And did you have any writing assignments in school that you enjoyed, I guess?
Oh gosh, yeah, that's such a good question too, because there's a great story behind that. So I was in school, and of course, I took photography as well, and that's
Mhm.
when I was in middle school, and I love that. And I remember my photography instructor said I had an eye for it, which has kind of helped because when you're creating movies, novels,
Mhm.
now this for the first time this year, a special audio project, which is you're using your ears, of course, but
Yeah.
you still I have to visually see everything before I can create it. I
Mhm.
have to see it. And people say when they read my books, it's like they're in a Hallmark or Lifetime Netflix
Yeah,
movie because
that's
it's
the way
so
I feel.
vivid. Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to like dive into the story, but I feel like we want to bring people in. I mean,
Mhm.
movies, of course, is the ultimate to surround ourselves in. But so I would my creative writing was really important to me.
Mhm.
And I'll never forget, it was a huge project, a big part of our grade. And I got an A. And the teacher even said it was one of the most creative and well told stories and the characters and all the things I was supposed to do. But she gave me a C minus because I missed a
Oh,
couple commas, and you would
oh
get a
no.
grade down for punctuation. And I'm dating myself. This is obviously before Grammarly, could help
Yeah.
somebody out or anything like that. But I remember being so annoyed. Of course, I was a kid. Of course, grammar is important. We see those jokes about the comma in the wrong place can really mean something different. I agree. I don't worry. When you read my novels, the commas are there. I hire people to put them there. I
Yeah.
still don't write with commas. I don't. Do I talk in commas? No, I do not. Do I breathe in between sentences? No, I do not. But anyway, it really upset me. And so I thought, I'm not going to work so hard to have something I can't control. I wasn't good
Mhm.
at catching the commas. I would proofread and proofread, and, like any author or writer, you often don't catch your own material, which is why you need someone else to look at it. And so that's when I decided, wait a minute, I could be a broadcaster. Like I could be I tell a story in a different way. As a
Wow.
newscaster, I get to stand up there and talk and I don't have to write it out. This was before we were putting everything online after you did
Mhm.
a live report.
Yeah.
I could just say it. I had to pronounce it correctly, but nobody was going to see if there was a comma or there was a typo or there was a
Yeah.
misspelling. I also really believed what I loved about reading as a kid was that it took us to different worlds, right? It took us to
Mhm.
places that we couldn't
Yeah.
journey to. Same with our movies. And I really thought, I didn't have a lot going on. I'm living in this little town just with my mom. I'm an only child. I have a dog. I mean, it's kind of boring. So I thought, I want to see the world. So because my grandma gave me that taste of living in Mexico and visiting her in a foreign country, I wanted to be a foreign correspondent. I wanted to tell stories of people of diverse cultures and different things. And gosh, I think I said that when I was 11. I started researching colleges and
Wow.
like the old days of putting like the little pin, on the map on the wall
Yeah.
and, and literally old days.
Mhm.
But yeah, I knew that that's what I'd wanted to do. And so I think that teacher actually did me a huge favor because I went into television. I worked more than 15 years as a broadcast journalism.
Wow.
I, worked my way up small market TV like Montana, Idaho, Minnesota. Then at one point I was a White House correspondent in Washington,
Wow.
D.C. I was an anchor in Boston and Dallas. And, I worked all over the place. And that's how I earned some of my Emmys was I was a war zone correspondent in Bosnia
Wow.
first, and then in Afghanistan, where I was embedded with an Apache helicopter unit for almost a month.
Wow.
And so telling those stories, I always did the personal part of the story, not the political,
Mhm.
because I really wanted the human side. I also had a
Yeah.
double major in sociology. A lot of journalists do poli sci for the political. And I'm like, no,
Mhm.
to me, that was like, I don't want to deal, especially now, but I really didn't want to deal
Yeah.
with politics back then.
Yeah.
And so, it sort of prepared me. So everything's a build. I know people, you say
Mhm.
that and you don't know. And I remember being so devastated with that assignment. It really crushed my heart because it was a story. And to get such a low grade, I was, the straight A overachiever type A kid. And it really upset me. And I thought, okay, but I'm going to go be somebody. I need to have something to say and to share. And then when I left TV news, which was back in 2007, I had just got back from Afghanistan. I knew I wanted to do something different. I wanted to inspire and empower. And at that time, I thought travel was my therapy. Whenever I wasn't working, I would travel. I would save up, and it's hard. You don't get time off. You notice that your favorite newscasters, they're there. They're there on Christmas.
Yeah.
They're there on holidays, And so I'd never gotten more than 5 days off, and lucky to get that. So I started my travel therapy trips. I have that website.com. I started traveling. I put my TV segments. They were on at the airport. They were on during Good Morning America, Live with Kelly, Rachel Ray at WABC in New York, where I was living. They just went everywhere. And it was about picking trips based on what you're going through in life. So if you're stressed, go here. If you're looking for romance, go here. And at the time, we were pitching it as a TV series, and it was so exciting. But it was right, and then 2008 happened when the economy crashed and nobody had that extra money to travel. So I kept doing it, and I loved it. I've been to 68 countries, so I've been so blessed. But that helps in all the movie writing. So now when I write movies, I know we're going to talk about it, but it's a perfect transition. So in my latest book that just came out, Love Always Christmas, this house right here, this is an actual home, and I haven't been talking about it. And it's in Canada. It's in New Brunswick, Canada, and it's called the Quartermain B&B. And when I did a travel therapy TV segment that was airing on ABC, I found this charming little place tucked away in the woods, and it felt like Christmas magic. The owner, Deborah, she's just Deborah Quartermain. She's just amazing. As a matter of fact, she made something that was in a Hallmark movie once. One of these little sock monkey, those little ones.
Goodness.
She's very crafty and creative. But it actually first inspired the idea of Christmas camp, where everyone goes to my Hallmark movie, where everyone goes to a home and kind of gets Christmas therapy. But then this year, the friend that took me here was with New Brunswick Tourism, Heather. And she's been battling some really hard health problems. And in her honor, I thought, I always put something on my cover that I want to take you to, and I want to go. And I thought, I'm going to do the house. So my cover artist, she's totally amazing. She did this as an actual picture, only the picture has a tree in front of it. I'll be posting on my social media coming up to show how we created it.
Oh my goodness.
But everything, and then Christmas camp, we went, was the idea. I wrote the Christmas camp Hallmark movie first. Then I wrote the book Christmas Camp and Christmas Camp Wedding, which usually it's the other way around. But then I love the idea so much, I trademarked it, and I decided to create a real life Christmas camp, and where you could actually go just like the Hallmark movie. Because I saw these people watching the movie going, I want to go to a Christmas camp. I wish there was a real one. And I'm like, okay. So next thing you know, I had 200 people. It sold out in like 5 minutes. The Today Show came. It was crazy. It was at the Phoenician Resort in Scottsdale, Arizona, because I thought, it's like travel therapy. Maybe you want to get out of the cold in the winter and be there in 85 sunny, a 5-star resort in Arizona. And so we had people come from all over the world, and we did a soft launch in 2018, sold out both times. We were about to do it everywhere. And then the pandemic hit, of course, which started virtual things, which is why I had them started with the virtual sets. But the Christmas camp, and then Finding Christmas, my second novel, which I also wrote the movie that was this close to being a Hallmark movie. It was like boots on the ground. And then the pandemic happened because it was optioned. It was ready to go, the book and the screenplay. We had an amazing star. Rachel Boston was an executive producer and star. And there's a great story there because as a writer, we talk about a lot. We don't get, at least speaking from my experience and the writers that I've known, we don't get to cast when we're doing, like, let's say a Hallmark or Netflix. Nobody says, Karen, what cast would you like? As a writer, you give it to the director, becomes in charge of a feature, and the network. And then they take the creative from there. And so sometimes you don't even know, sometimes some of the actors don't even know who the other actors are. I mean, there's just so much going into it. So that's why I started writing the novels, because I thought, wouldn't it be great? Like, I have a story, I'll have the control. I totally get it. It's a great thing when I speak. I do a lot with college students. I kind of do these mini TED Talks, but they're not TED Talks, but I call them they're like Christmas camp or travel therapy-esque. But it's that same idea of uplifting and motivational. So I get asked to do that, everything from Rotary groups to tourism groups to colleges, so I do all of that. And I tell them it's a great study. So I wrote the Hallmark movie first, Christmas Camp. And then I wrote the novel, and I had to write it really quick because it was a debut novel, and I had sold it to HarperCollins, just the idea, because I thought, wouldn't it be fun to have it come out at the same time as a movie? Yay. And so HarperCollins bit and gave me a 3-book deal. And so I quickly had to write it, and I used the screenplay as an example. So the book and screenplay were identical. So now if you watch the movie and you watch the book, you're going to see so many differences. And we talk about it all the time in Hollywood, right? Like, good example, there was a sledding scene that was totally approved, you know, because as a writer, it's a big collaboration. You kind of sell the idea. Even if people, the best questions I get asked, and it was one I had when I very first started, well, they buy it. Don't they love it? Why do they change it so much? Well, a lot of times they're buying, sometimes it's just a concept. Sometimes it's the idea, and they need to change it to fit their actors, their set. So good example, you know, a lot of the Hallmark movies shoot in Canada, right? Like I know, you know, from When Calls the Heart, you know, all of that. Well, in this case, they were shooting it in upstate New York. It was kind of, you know, there was a lot of stuff going on. And we had this great sledding scene that was approved because we thought we were going to shoot with snow. But next thing you know, they're shooting in the summer, and upstate it's 95 degrees. So they had to cut that. You know, there's other things that have to be cut for budgets. So I always say it's a really good example of, if you're precious with your writing and you're precious, if there's fellow writers out there and you want to write movies, you know, you better know that it's a collaboration. Your idea is the beginning stuff. And then your job is to listen to the director, the producers, the actors. You almost have to be a therapist, you know, and take all of that. And you're now hired to do what they want you to do. I always joke, if you want a pink pony, okay. But, you know, I might be able to argue, well, could the pink pony be in this scene and not, you know, you might be able to, I wouldn't say argue is not a good word. You might be able to persuade, you know, you pick your darlings. So, you know, if you really think the story is going off the rails from the original intent, but again, they own it. So I say, but the best therapy is write the novel version, because then you have the best of both worlds. You get to do the movie and you get that collaboration. And let me tell you how many times a collaboration, anybody, it could be craft services, it not just the director and the actors and the network and, you know, the super, you know, supposed important people. It could be someone else on crew that has a wonderful idea. And that's the magic of movie making, especially these Christmas movies, right? They shoot in like 14 days. They're fast and furious. So everybody's involved, and I just feel like it's been so much fun. But I do love writing the novel, because then I get to be the actor, the director. Nobody can cut my sledding scene, you know. And this little guy, you know, it's funny because I combined all of my love. Oh, and I always have a dog. There's my little Rudolph. And if you know about movie sets, the producers are like, no dogs, no kids, you know, ideally. Because it's expensive and it's hard. So you can have kids, but then you often won't have a dog. Like, does One Call the Heart have a dog? It has a horse. Oh, it did. Jack had a dog, right? No, it wasn't Jack.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't watched it in a long time. Yes. Oh my gosh, good memory. That's a TV series, so you get to have way better budget, way more fun. But, or what they say is just, you better prove that the dog is worth it, or the child is worth it. And my Toni Braxton movie, it's called Every Day is Christmas. It was for Lifetime. It was the exact, the Christmas Prince came out, and that was the first movie I wrote, and it blew up really big. And before the sequels even happened, because we had talked about the sequels with Netflix, all of a sudden, Christmas Camp with Hallmark was bought. Like, Netflix came out in November. It was early January, the Christmas Camp was bought. And then Lifetime hired me to write from scratch a story for Toni Braxton. And I had a 3-book deal for HarperCollins. Wow. So a lot of people go, why didn't you write the Netflix? Why didn't you write the sequels? You know, well, you have choices, and you have to pick, like, where can my energy go? Where's the best fit for me and for the team and for all of it? And so that's why I moved on to do 2 more movies and 2 books, you know, instead of stay with that series and I love my Christmas Prince. It'll always, your first and your baby is always the closest, you know, to your heart. And then the next year, Lifetime called and said, can you do, it was kind of last minute. I don't know for sure, but it seemed like something had fallen through because it was very late in the game. It'd be like getting a call now. Oh, this would be really late. But it'd be getting a call now and going, we want it for this Christmas, you know? And so I created a script, you know, that came out called Rediscovering Christmas. And I remember that debuted while I was at Christmas Camp. Christmas Camp is where we bring people, and it's like a hotel stay. So you have all these activities. You do the things that you would see in the movies, and you make the food. It's kind of like recreating. And because I've done different movies and books, every Christmas Camp got bigger. So there'd be like 9 activities a day you could opt in for, from breakfast to dinner to stargazing at night to hot cocoa. And then my movie premiered when I was there, you know, goodness. So it's always been, that's a very long answer to, you know, a lot of things happening, but that's why my answers go into each other, because it's about life. Like, one opportunity takes you to the next, to the next.
That's right.
And then next thing you know, I'm here talking about, you know, way too many projects, which is a good thing.
Exactly. It's completely all right. I loved hearing all of it. I always enjoy hearing the behind the scenes of movie making and writing novels as well. So I thought it was
Oh,
really interesting. Yeah.
well, thank you. I love to
You're
share. I
welcome.
like to try and encourage. I'm obviously, happy to share my story. I love telling it, but I do it not just to regurgitate my own story, but
Yeah.
I like to share that I didn't have an agent. I didn't have a manager. I wasn't from Hollywood. I didn't know anyone in Hollywood. So I always say the girl from nothing and nowhere, and you can do it. And,
Yes.
even though when people say, well, how did you sell this book to HarperCollins? Okay, the movies I've talked about. Oh, and on that note, if anyone wants to hear how I did A Christmas Prince, I've made myself a promise that I said, I've had a hard year. I've shared with some people that follow me. I don't share a lot of my personal life when it's not my story to share, but
Mhm.
my dad has some health problems, some pretty serious ones. And it's been a
Mhm.
long battle for 3 years. And I'm his only person. I'm blessed to be that. And so, it's been a lot, it's been a lot going on. And with that said, it also, he loves these stories, and it kind of encourages me to continue trying to be positive and to try to, live in a happy, safe space. People say, why don't you write news, or why don't you go and write some of these mysteries, or you were a crime reporter, or you did
Yeah.
undercover stuff. And I said, I don't want to live in that world. That's
Yeah.
not where I want to live right now. But I always say, if one person can hear me and be inspired by my story and take one thing, maybe it's, wow, she did it and she didn't have an agent, or wow, this is how you do it. And the short answer, well, I was saying about hopping on TikTok. So this year, because of all the challenges, usually when I have a book launch or I'm working on a movie project, and now I have a new audio project, which is a first, I have to be very diligent with my schedule. But with my dad, my schedule is like,
Yeah.
his life comes first. So I said, okay, none of the stuff I usually do, I've done this year. So I'm going to do 3 new things instead of being upset, the control freak in me that won't let me do the things I want to do the way I want to do, like promotions or travel or, things for
Mhm.
my projects. I'm going to do 3 new things that are positive. And one of them was, because for authors specifically, book talk is huge. And it's a great way to share your story. And so I had been watching these book talkers that I loved, and I learned so much. I thought, another way to share. But I saw, what kind of content? You don't want to get on there and say, buy my book. I mean, nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what can I give back? It's like what you do, Nicole, you guys, you and Hannah, what can we do to give back? And what I learned is people love the behind the scenes. People can read books, blurbs and all of that, but especially when it comes to even movie or publishing, or then self-publishing or creating covers, whatever it might be, they want the behind the scenes. And that's where the struggles are. That's where the great juicy stories are. So one of my first TikToks I did, so I just jumped on, the book came out on October 11th. So it's a brand new release. And I'm also writing the movie. And it's funny because I pitched the movie first, and I had a network ready to buy the movie. And then when the pandemic hit, it just got put on hold. So I didn't ever finish that script. It was just, I wasn't even writing a spec. It was, we call like a 1-page. So I went on and I was working on some other project I got hired to do. I can't even remember what it was, but I always kept that story in my heart. So this year I thought, I'm going to write the book first, and then I changed the story. I had it done, Nicole. It was ready to go, and I was late this year for my
Oh my
scheduling.
goodness.
And I decided, you know what? It doesn't have enough. I decided to add what we call in the literary world, like found family. And I have the enemies to friends. Of course, Christmas is a main character, as it always needs to be. But I felt like it was too much like everything I'd seen and loved, but it was a story we've seen before. And so I really twisted it and turned it on its head. And it's my 6th novel. And for the reviews I've been getting, people love it the most because it has a little bit more texture, a little bit more depth. Just it has the heart, and it's funny. I mean, it's a romantic comedy. So I love some of the reviews. It says, I'm laughing 1 minute, I'm crying the next, I'm rooting for someone the next, and I finished feeling hopeful. And I don't think I could have a better compliment than that, at the end of the day. So when I hopped on TikTok, though, I thought, what do people always want to know? And it's always a Christmas Prince. Now, my audience there is everywhere from 7-year-olds to 95-year-olds and older. So I did the 5 shocking things people don't know about me writing A Christmas Prince. And then I just did 1, 2, and it was just real, I just ad-libbed it. I mean, that's what you do. You just chat with people. And I didn't know much about TikTok. I didn't have any followers, but within a couple of days I think I have 1,400 followers, you guys. I'm like so excited. and it got like 150,000 views, which I guess is really, that's good. I mean, I'm not a viral sensation. I didn't get 4 million, but for me, not even having an audience yet. And so now I'm trying to post one a day and trying to give writing tips, inspiration, or if it's book launch, share that. Like I'm going to do a giveaway this weekend, just have fun with it.
So
but
exciting.
It's exactly what you do with the podcast. It's just a way to connect with people, which,
Yeah.
so thank you for what you and Hannah do.
Thank you.
I've loved your journey, and I'm so happy because you bring people these stories. Like somebody might watch and go, oh, that writer, I had no idea she also did this, or it just helps people to connect with each other.
Oh, thank you.
And
of course, we love making connections with people like you and all the actors on all these networks as well. So, and screenwriters.
Of course. Thank you. Don't forget us little baby writers.
I've always been interested in screenwriting, and a couple of years ago, I actually was able to attend a seminar type of thing with my dad for his master's of screenwriting degree from the University of Georgia. It was a lot of fun.
That's amazing. I didn't realize your dad. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And we're working on a Hallmark movie together.
Are you guys? Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Okay, so is it official? Are you working on it to pitch, or did you already
We haven't pitched it yet. We've only written like one page.
Hey, you know what? I love Shonda Rhimes had said once, if you're a writer, you're a writer. You don't necessarily sell. You do have to write every day. That's the thing. Like I've been writing every day, but the last couple months have been challenging with my dad's health. So I haven't written as much as I would like every day, but I try to, and people say, how do you do it? I get it. There's moms and dads that are like, Karen, I'm flat out. I have a job. I have kids. I have a health issue. Yeah. I'm here to tell you, I hear you. I am you. And that's why I started getting up at 4 and 5 in the morning. There was no time in my normal day, but if I'm passionate, it's what I do. And I do write fast. That's a blessing of being a TV journalist. So the producers that need something fast, that have met me and have worked with me, they know we can call Karen. We know she can deliver fast. She doesn't miss deadlines. She can work really quickly. And that's why I think that I get those calls too, because some people massage their scripts for like days and hours. And here's the thing, Nicole, and I would tell you and your dad when you're working on yours, it's going to change. So don't worry about making it exactly how you think is perfect. You definitely want the best script because it's your resume, it's your calling card, it's how you're going to get a job or get, sell your deal. Yeah. But don't be so precious with, I had a friend, and I don't think she'd mind if I told the story because she is a top writer. She's been covering celebrities for 20 years. She's amazing. I mean, she's in New York City. She's the girl, like she is your entertainment person. But when I very first met her, we'd do these walk and talks in Central Park. And what are you working on? What are you working on? Just chat. We decided we got tired of sitting and drinking wine at the bar downstairs, that maybe our livers would appreciate if we walked instead, and to have these little chats. Yeah. Not as fun. No, I'm kidding. I still to this day, I try to walk every day. It's kind of the way it gets my head out of the crazy and into a good focused space. But I remember she goes, I'm working on this story. And she gave me this opening line. So, okay. So we both traveled for work, and it was about a month later when I saw her, and we hadn't had our walk. So we walk. I go, what are you working on? And she gives me the same line. I'm like, oh yeah, I know. You told me that. So where is that? She goes, no, I'm still working on that. And I just remember going, wait a minute, what? You cannot work on that, the opening paragraph, for a month. And because of that, long and short, I kind of did some coaching with her. I showed her there's some TV Karen Schaler tricks of working quickly. Yeah. And then she'd always wanted a book deal. And she got her book deal. I helped. The book proposal was also, can you imagine? I mean, she would always nitpick it. It's not good enough. It's not right. It's not this. I'm like, do your best job and just be bold. Everyone will say no. I say, when one door closes, jump through the window. So that's all advice for you and your dad.
Oh, thank you.
And one producer gave me great advice when I very first started out and said, it's all in the title. And it's actually true, especially when you're targeting a Hallmark, Lifetime, or Netflix. Mm-hmm. There's more than 500 movies have been done. You want to, if you can find a title, like this title has not been done. It will be. I remember Lifetime, who I love Lifetime. One of my best experience doing a movie was with Lifetime when I did the Toni Braxton movie. But I was pitching them a couple ideas, and and they liked them, and that's right before the pandemic. And then I went forward and wrote the novel, and they came out with the movie with the same name. And I kind of talked to the exec. I'm like, what happened here? And it was similar storyline too. they were not stealing the storyline. Let me get that clear.
Of course.
All of them seem to be pretty similar, but there was a journalist that went to a little house in the mountains, a romance author. So, that was where the storyline pretty much ended. But it was hard because my book came out, and because I do movies, when the movie came out, everyone thought it was the same, but the story, it was not the same. So they thought it was mine, that the movie was mine. And that writer, that's not fair to that writer that did an original movie, So I said, stop stealing, my titles. And they basically go, they're good. They're hard to find. You're good. You'll find something else. They don't even pretend to and I don't know if he ever totally admitted that, but then there were two of my titles. So this year I waited only because I was late. I like to pretend I did it on purpose, but I had a lot going on. But this title and my title for my Audible project, which is a great transition because I know that was on your list of things you wanted me to make sure I talked about, but we didn't announce it. They haven't announced it officially, and they're just letting me announce now for my book launch week while I'm kind of sharing, because they didn't want anyone taking the title. So see, it's a thing. So you and your dad, this is a very long way to say you and your dad need to come up with a killer title, and make sure you go on IMDb. And it's okay if it's a title from 1960 that's the same, if you're targeting Hallmark, that Hallmark didn't do, and if it was a short or something. But ideally, and it has to be, SEO friendly, and all of there's titles are a thing. I actually will come up. I have a whole romantic comedy, summer type romantic comedy that I want to do, and my literary agent, she's like, that title's money, that's it. And I actually had a project that Gary Marshall read. This was back in the day. And he said that they bought, and this was just what they were sharing, that they bought Devil Wears Prada, the book, to make into a movie on the title, because Devil Wears Prada was a movie. You could just see the movie poster. So especially when you're doing movies, make sure, can you see the movie poster? So don't even tell me your title, because somebody will take it.
We do have one. I will say that.
Good. Okay, good. Yay. I'm so excited. Okay. That's my tip for you and your dad.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Of course. I know, we cover so many different things. I just jump all over. And then she's like, where are we, Karen? Oh, I know you want to talk about Audible. Should we do that since we sort of teased it?
We can go ahead and talk about that. Yeah.
You want to talk about that now, or do you want to wait?
Sure. Actually,
so tell me.
Maybe we should save that to the end.
Okay, let's save it. Because we should tell people that are watching. You guys, it's an Audible project, but it's not a regular audio book. It's what's called a multicast. So it's scripted. And that means I have a whole cast of actors, and it runs about 2 hours. So it's not just someone, which I love, reading my book, but I got to have a say in casting, and it is a Hallmark Christmas star is my star. So, one of my stars, all of them are stars, but that's a little nibble that you can now wait. And we're going to tell you that title, that all important title that, we've been keeping hush hush for almost a year. So super excited. Yes. Okay, Nicole, now it's all you. We'll go in order. I'll be a good girl.
You're completely okay. I've loved chatting with you.
Yeah, I've gone down the Christmas rabbit hole today. This is what happens. Christmas magic is hard to keep track. You gotta you gotta run with it. People go, wow, there's a lot going on there.
It's okay. I love hearing all of it.
Thanks. You're so kind.
Of course. So going back to your travel show for a little bit, what is one of your favorite places you've visited over the years?
Oh, Nicole, you wouldn't ask me that. That is so hard, because it's like picking a favorite child. There's so many special places. And with travel therapy, I say, pick the trip based on what you're going through in life. So right now, if I could just go anywhere, I would transport myself with everything that I have going on, all things being equal. I would go to the British Virgin Islands. There's a little island there, called Joost van Dyke, where there's a bar called the Soggy Dollar Bar, and they created the original painkiller. And I would drink one of the painkillers. And when I first went there, you had to swim to it. And that's why it was Soggy Dollar. And it was literally a 4-seat bar with I think an igloo cooler at one point that poured the drink. I mean, it was very, Gilligan's Island remote-esque. Now it's become very famous. I believe Jimmy Buffett has been there. There's a lot. And now people, come from all over to go. But I'd go off season without the tourists, and I would just rest and relax and just disconnect. Because sailing in the British Virgin Islands, it sounded so bougie when someone suggested. I was looking, gosh, it would have been about 15 years ago. I was still working in TV news. I was at NBC in Boston. I anchored the weekend news, and I could never get time off. I finally got 7 days off, and I'm like, I'm going to the Caribbean, and I'm researching these magical places I was going to go to with my boyfriend at the time. And of course, I was like getting to plan it. So I wanted it to be, I love good food. I wanted like remote beaches and that place we could both, disconnect. And I remember the places were so expensive. I mean, they were all inclusive. So they were a lot of money. I mean, this was a long time ago, but they were like, now I laugh because it doesn't seem like, when you see what the world and how all inclusives have been, this wasn't like a Sandals, which is also not inexpensive. And I've been to Sandals. I knew the creator of Sandals, Butch Stewart, who passed.
That's awesome.
God bless him. But this is all inclusive. You're on an island. So you're going to it's a private island. This is what you're going to get. So it'd be like close to $1,000 a night. And I thought, okay, well, I could see why, because your food and everything is, taken care of. But what if I get there and I don't like it? And now I spent all this money. So I'm telling this to a coworker in my news station in Boston. And they said, well, why don't you just charter a sailboat and just check out all the different islands? Go for like a day, eat a meal to see if you like the food, then do another trip where you pick the one you want to spend all the money at, and
that's
actually
a good idea. Yeah.
And I did, but I was also, just charter a boat. I looked at her like, okay, you must be making more money than me. Let's go talk to the news director. But no, she said, if you go off season, it's really affordable. And that's one of my little travel hacks. And I've been doing it for years, and I go right on fringe of hurricane season. And so it'll be half price. And I mean, I chartered a 45, well, the first time was a little monohull sailboat, but we chartered it. We got the captain, and then you get to order food, and you get to put your own food away. And then you have food on the different islands. And this is the British Virgin Islands. It was magical. And it was only like a couple $1,000s for the whole trip. I mean, so
that's amazing.
Now, yes, you can also go where, it's super expensive if you go in December or high season, but that's why you try to go different times. And I have been recently trying to go places. This is the way I don't answer your question, Nicole. I promise I will. I'm thinking in my other brain's thinking of how I'm going to.
It's completely okay.
I'm like, But back to like with the inspiration for writing and screenwriting, because I love travel therapy so much. And when the pandemic, right before the pandemic, I was doing these movies and novels. And it was the first time. I'm used to being in a travel show where I never was home. I was on the road. And when you're writing, it's very isolating. You're by yourself and wherever you are in a room. And I'm in New York City in my little apartment. And I'm just like, this is crazy. So I decided anytime I got a movie or a novel, I would take off for a month. That's what it usually takes me to, throw something together. I'm going to go for a month. I'm going to immerse myself in somebody else's culture and really just like live like a local. And so I went to Portugal and did that in a teeny tiny little town. I did that in Spain. And so I was writing Christmas movies, in February, but in warmer climates, because I do love the warmer weather and the beaches. And even though I don't lay in the sun, I have skin cancer issues. So sunscreen, please wear sunscreen and hats. But, all of that said, I have these little magical places. So this February, I was going to be I have this great summer rom-com movie and novel, but movie first. And I'm so excited. So I went to some place I hadn't been in 10 years. And I went to the Bahamas, but it was a little private island, and it's called, well, not private, but little baby island called Harbor Island, which actually the celebrities know, because the top celebrities back in the Hollywood day would escape to this lovely little sneaky little hideaway. It's this low-key luxury. And I stayed at Remora Bay, and that is where it's a marina and the super yachts. They're like 120 feet, the helicopters on them. And I got to stay there for almost 3 weeks. And it was like my little writer retreat. And the chef is small. And he was like, just tell us what you want, Karen, and we'll make it for you. So I could have my fresh fish or my chocolate, like desserts that I love. And so, and at the time, and that's when actually things started. I had already been talking to Audible, but that's when things started heating up. So we were creating the original idea, and I'm pitching her different movie ideas I have. Because when you pitch movies, you have these, what we call one sheets. So she's like, do you have anything laying around? And I'm like, let me look in my little Christmas cabinet here. But it's funny, I was going to be working on the summer rom-com, and I ended up starting a Christmas project while I was in the Caribbean. So all of that said, but I try to find places where I can think and relax, because, I'm pretty high strung, but I also love adventure. So, I'm the person that when I'm in Toronto, I did the toes over Toronto, where you're over that the tower. And
oh my goodness, I couldn't do that.
You have to go to travel therapy trips and watch me be insane. How I was talked into that one. But I grew up in the Northwest, outdoors, hiking, camping, fishing. That's kind of my jam too. So, this is just what I've done. So, okay, that gave me time to think. My other brain. One of my favorite, at least one that has really, really been sticking out in my mind lately, and it might be because of TikTok. I know I'm joking around, but I'm back on TikTok reference. I don't know if you've seen them, and it's terrible. I should get my phone so I can tell you, but I'm sure you guys all know, and I'm just late to the party. But there are these beautiful African children that are on TikTok, and they dance to the trending songs. They're maybe like
Aw.
5 years old, but they'll be there Friday, they'll be there happy Monday. They are so good. And they just are jamming, and they make with like the little very, rudimentary things. They make these makeshift pretend instruments. And for some reason, it comes to the For You feed on me, because people probably know that I just adore this inspiring, positive content. So one of my most life-changing trips was to Malawi, Africa, right when I quit TV news. I was there a month, where I spent 3 weeks volunteering at an orphanage. And then the other week I spent in Johannesburg and Cape Town, more the traditional travel show, staying in the nice hotels, eating the nice meals. But I wanted to always volunteer, and I had never been able to have more than a week off in TV. So that was life-changing in so many ways. We could do a whole podcast on that. And I talk about that in my travel therapy book. That was my first, that's a nonfiction book. That's the first one that came out, where it's fun. It has different chapters. I'm looking at reinventing it, because it did come out, in 2008. It's not dated, because I didn't put prices. It's more experientially, it's written that way. But I'd love to update it, because there's so many new places I've been. But I think that the thing, and it's really served me well, especially the last few years with the pandemic and with my families, health issues, is that Malawians, they say that they're some of the happiest people on earth, but yet it's one of the poorest countries in the world. And they have very high death rate of AIDS, and a lot of children, that are passing away. And so when I was there, I'll kind of fast forward through this beautiful story that I love to tell, but like I said, it could be a whole story in itself. But I just was overwhelmed by the poverty, the sadness that I saw, but also the joy that I saw every single day with people. And when I asked one of the chiefs in the villages, how come they're so happy? How come you're so happy? They don't have water, electricity, and he said, because every morning they wake up, and a lot of times they live in, these huts, and they showed me, I was there, and these little dirt floors, and they're like, family is like this. They say they wake up and they look to the right and they look to the left, and they woke up, and they're so happy, because almost every morning there's someone in the family that doesn't. So whoever wakes up celebrates their life. That day is a party. They party, they have fun, they love, they share, they're so happy, and they're so grateful. And I think about that. I remember I interviewed George Foreman, the boxer, years ago for a TV story. And I asked him about what keeps him going. We were even talking about the George Foreman grill. That's how long ago it was. And I remember he said he woke up every day. The first thing he did is he'd open his blinds and he'd look out, and he was thankful that he woke up and that he was alive. And so I think that's it, where all of us have gone through hard times, we're all struggling. But if we can say, I woke up, we're so blessed here. I have running water. I have electricity. We're all going through it, all the time. And, social media, I think, is so hard, because you scroll and everybody looks perfect and happy. And some people have said, well, we didn't know you're going through all that, Karen. I said, I don't post other people, like in my family's personal life on social media. I just protect their privacy. And to be honest, my own, I've had so many losses the last 3 years, but I'm not going to post. I want to post the joy. I want to post the positivity and bring that, conversation to the party. But don't anyone think that I'm not in it with you all, that people go, wow, you've been able to do this. And I have, and I've worked really hard, but every day is a struggle, and it's okay. So anyone out there watching, it's okay if you're struggling. You're going to be okay. And if you ever, reach out to me on my website or social media, if you need a pep talk, I'll be there for you, because we all have to be there for each other. And so I think that with travel therapy, that trip will always stay in my heart. My trip to Malawi, I'd like to go back to Africa. I wanted to go back and volunteer every year. I wanted it to be a tradition, and I'd like to do something like that. But, life just kept getting in the way. So I have not been back. But I'm putting it out there right now that I want to.
Oh, that story was almost bringing me to tears. Serious.
Oh, well, what about yourself? What about yourself? Like, have you had a travel therapy place that, like, you go that when you need to, like, relax and just to take that moment?
Well, there is a mission trip that I have been going on since 2009. Unfortunately, they had to temporarily pause it because of COVID, but I think they're supposed to be starting back next year, which is exciting. But where I go on a mission trip, it's in upstate South Carolina, so it's just a few hours away from where I am. and we repair homes for people that cannot afford to do it themselves. And then of course there's the worship aspect every night, which that's one of my favorite parts, and just the fellowship with everyone.
Of course, that's where you really feel the connection, isn't it? That's where you feel that, you're here for whatever your religion, whatever your belief, you're here for more than yourself, that if you live with just in your own pain or your own sadness or your own joy, it's a pretty lonely place. You want to share the good, the bad, and whatever you can. I try to, one of my friends said the nicest compliment. She was also a news person, and news people, when you're covering crime and the kind of things we do, we get kind of hardened. I don't mean our real self, but we have to go to these crime scenes and see these horrific stories, and it's really hard. And when I left that and started doing other things, I found out, well, you know what? Writing Christmas movies can be just as hard. It can be just as treacherous and can be just as dangerous as a war zone if you're not prepared and you're not doing the right things and you don't partner with the right people. And there is no never land. It might look beautiful and pretty on the outside, but you got to be smart. You got to be tough.
Yeah.
And she said, she goes, you're best with adversity. She goes, you're good all the time, but whenever things go really bad, she goes, that's when she thinks I excel. And it's, looking back, it gives me strength. It made me cry when she said it, because didn't feel like I was excelling at all. But it makes me, now her voice is in my head, that when things are really hard, I'm thinking, okay, this is supposed to be my boots on the ground. I can do this. And words are so powerful, and that's why when you do your podcast and I come on and share and people share that, even in comments and things like that, what you say to someone matters. And it could be the one sentence they hear that day that can make a difference, whether it's encouraging or whether it's uplifting them. I always tell people, choose your words very carefully, choose them for kindness, because, the other way, I just try to block out the noise. People say, I think, and don't quote me on this, but I think it was Diane Sawyer, the famous newscaster, when I was growing up and I looked up to her. I think I read somewhere, and if it's not you, Diane, I'm sorry, but it was a really great article about reading reviews about herself. Like, I don't read the good, so I don't get a big head, and I don't read the bad, so I'm not, neurotic or depressed or sad. And I think that goes a long way, when you open yourself up on social media and you can get so many trolls and so many hate. I try not to go down that rabbit hole. I just, I just try to put my energy in other places, which is why I love coming on to talk to you, Nicole, because you and Hannah do such a good job. You create a safe place for people. You create a place where people can watch and connect like you're trying to do. So
thank you.
It means so much. And I hope that you get to go on the trip again this year.
Oh, thank you. I hope so.
That sounds amazing. Thank you for doing that.
Of course. It's always, every year that I get to go, it's a blessing, because it really makes me and everyone else, all of my friends that attend, see how good we really have it, because some are not as fortunate as us. So
that's why Africa, I tell people, if you're ever feeling spoiled or woe is me, I had to sell one of my 3 cars or something. By the way, that's not me. I didn't even have a car for 15 years in New York. But I got to be careful. Some of my examples, some people might think it's me, but in all seriousness, just like you with going upstate, or whether you go to Africa. And I tell people that all the time. You don't have to volunteer in a third world country halfway around the world. There's places to volunteer in your own backyard, every single day. And it reminds me, when I was in New York my first year, my birthday is December 19th. So instead of going to the big dinner, I asked people to volunteer with me. And I usually try to do Thanksgiving. So, when you do the Thanksgiving meals and all that, well, it turned out New York's really hard to volunteer in Manhattan, because there's so many people that want to volunteer. So it's like you're on a wait list. So I had to apply in July or something to make sure I could volunteer. And, and I thought, well, wait a minute, maybe I need to go to a different state and volunteer. Maybe if they don't need me as much here. But the point of it is that we can do so much good in our own backyard, as well as if we're blessed enough to get to travel somewhere, and wherever our calling is, I think we just listen and go.
Yes, exactly. I will share one fun story from one year of my trip. And this is probably one of my favorite years, like one of my favorite sites that I have been on through the course of going to this camp. I think it was back in 2011. My site, we were working on a home for an elderly woman. Her name, everyone, or at least our site, we all called her Miss Dot. Her name is Dottie, but we all called her Miss Dot. And I think on the last day of work, which was Friday, work is from Monday to Friday.
Okay.
But the camp is from Saturday to a Saturday. So,
Mhm.
we have 2 days to get to
Yeah,
know everyone and, reconnect with all of our friends that we already know.
exactly. Get ready,
And
kind of getting fueled up and ready to go.
yeah, exactly. But I think we had finished our work that day and we were just sitting around talking to Miss Dot, and I can't remember who it was, but one of us started playing music and we got on the topic of the Cupid Shuffle and we taught her how to do
Oh,
the Cupid Shuffle.
oh no. Oh my God, I love this. This could be in a movie. You should use this as a movie.
I wish I had the video of it because it was such a great memory.
Oh my goodness. I love that. Now, how old was Miss Dot? I'm picturing her like in her 70s or 80s, like
I think
older.
she was in her 80s, I think.
Yeah. Oh,
Somewhere
bless her
around there.
heart.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Such a sweet
See?
lady. Yeah.
And that's that memory you have, right? Like I have
Yeah.
memories of the children that I met, and I have memories of the people that were with me. It was a small group of us. There was only about 7 or 8 of us that came, from all over the country, different walks of life. I remember there was a dad, a very important CEO type with his daughter who was about 16, 17. And I remember I was so inspired by their story. He said that the kids, because I would hear where they'd go. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish you were my dad, because they would go on these really unique, to the Amazon, or just
Yeah.
these amazing places. And he said that the kids, that they try to honor what the kids wanted, but they had to present like a PowerPoint. Like they literally had to get up in front of the parents and explain why they wanted to go, show some research, show some things they wanted to do. And it made them accountable. And it made them, really little travel therapists, is what I was so, just drawn to this story. But I know at one point she stayed with me for a couple days. And a true story, when you go to Africa or any of these countries, there's different medicine to take for malaria. And one of the pills is very expensive and usually not covered by insurance, a couple hundreds of dollars. The other one's like $2, $5. But that one, in some people, can cause severe hallucinations.
Oh my goodness.
So I was like, yeah, don't want that. But her dad took that one. And he tells the story that when he woke up at night and you're in a tent with his daughter, we're in individual tents, and he woke up and he thought she was a lion.
Oh
And so,
goodness.
like this animal. And so he was like, kind of going at like, oh, and then that's when he kind of realized, he goes, can she stay with you a couple days while I fix this situation with this medicine?
Oh my goodness.
Which I tell the story. I always
Wow.
wondered, did he just make that up so she could stay with me? Because, I was, she thought I was cool because I was younger, and all of that. But, and then I got to watch her. When my little travel therapy book came out, there's a picture of her in it with the kids, and there's just so much that happened. And then I got to watch her grow and be married. She was married a couple years ago, and I'm just like,
that's awesome.
yeah. And the stories that you have, it's really the human connections, that you make with people. It's funny, we don't tell stories about, oh, there was this great restaurant, right? We're telling stories about the people. And that's what we do with our storytelling. It's the same.
Yes.
I mean, I admit I loved coming up with plots. Like I like coming up with the beginning, the end, something that hasn't been done. Like my Christmas camp hadn't been done. This one certainly hasn't. My new one hasn't been done. And that's hard to say in an era where everything Christmas trope, it seems like. But I love doing that. But it comes down to it really at the end of the day is the character's journey. And the setting and all of that is the extra special sauce around it. But you want to see that character growth, that character arc, from following like When Calls the Heart, one of your favorites. I shouldn't say that because you have other favorites too. But I mean,
of course.
that you really, because you connect so strongly with the characters while you tune in. Of course, the storyline matters. I mean, I'm a writer. I hope it does. But really, it comes down to that the writer has created the character and the actor and everybody and the director, that team kind of ingredient that makes you say, I have to watch this. There's shows I've watched where I don't love the storyline, but I'm so intrigued by the characters that I want to see that character growth. I'll watch reality TV. And I don't usually, but when I'm writing, I can't write. Like if I'm writing a Christmas movie, I'm not watching them. And that kills me, right? Because I love them. But I don't want to accidentally get an idea or see something that maybe I had and then be like, no, I'm not going to use it. So I just stay pure. I record everything. But I'll watch something like The Bachelor, where the reason I do is I want to see 20-something-year-old, as crazy as those shows are. I had a friend that worked with them years ago, so I know some of the behind the scenes, but I still like the dialogue. I am not 20 years old, so I love hearing the dialogue. How are people talking about dating and love and falling in love and drama? Drama. But I enjoy it. And it's a way that I can still be in the romantic comedy world. I can, see things. Fact, is stranger than fiction, or, all the time. So they always, you say, pull from your experiences. That's why I said someday you're going to have that scene with Miss Dot in some format, reimagined in one of your stories. I'm going to look
for it.
That would be awesome. I'm going to go, Nicole, I know that was Miss Dot.
Yes, of course. I wish I had that video because it is so awesome.
I bet it would be amazing.
But I didn't record it on my phone. Somebody else recorded it.
This is why I am the control freak about recording stuff, because then it's on my phone. I'm like, no, let me do it and I'll send it to you.
If I had thought about it, I would have done it.
Right? Next time you will, for sure.
Yes. I have so many fun stories that I could share from.
I love that. Well, that's what we're all about, and I think the volunteer stories. Oh, wait, I have one more. This one's very short and very funny, but you reminded me, and I would love to know if anyone's watching this, if they have heard of this, because I'm blonde, but I like to think I'm an intelligent woman here. So really quickly, in Africa, I talked about the malaria. So it was one of the countries that it was, pretty rampant. I'm allergic to mosquito bites. Like I swell up like, crazy pants. So we're there. And I always say, take duct tape with you, because even though there's netting, there's always a hole in the netting. So especially when you're in third world countries, or if you're in even a quote hotel-ish room, the screen's going to have a hole in it. So duct tape, anything like that. Okay. So because the malaria was so bad when we were there, I think it was one of our guides. There was I loosely call it a hotel. I'm not exactly sure what it was we were staying in. I mean, it wasn't electricity. There wasn't really any water, but it had a roof over our head. And we were there in the summer, so it was hotter than the dickens, as you can imagine. But because of it, they said everyone has to spray bug spray. We know you're taking pills, but it's bad. We don't want you getting malaria. And so many people, especially mission folks that came in, had gotten it, and we had heard about it. So we're like, okay. So I come back to my room, and there's this, and I'm with my duct tape, every little corner that, when a mosquito could get in. And there's this big thing, of I would say off, you would think it would be deep woods off. I'm trying to show you. It's literally this big, it's bright orange, looks just like the off, and the blue top or whatever it was. So I go, oh my gosh, I've never seen a Costco jumbo size thing of off. I mean, this canister is huge. But when I turn it around, there is skull and crossbones. It's a black skull with the crossbones, like the international poison sign. It's the whole front, and it says Doom, DOOM. Everything else was not in English, but Doom. And I'm like, what is this? And I remember the courtyard where some of the other volunteers were, and they're like, we didn't get that in our room, because I kind of had said, well, I'm super allergic. Do you have anything? Because, I really have problems. Is there any can I get some off? I wasn't being bougie. It's just when they said get spray, I'm like, okay, where do I go to get the spray? Yeah. Well, apparently I never did use it, because I was deathly afraid of what this Doom was. Oh my goodness. But that's, So these are the kind of stories that stick in your funny little stories that stick in your mind, like that. But I think we both need to make a pact, not a promise, because we never know, but that we're going to do our hardest to go back to do a volunteer trip in 2023, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Fingers
we're in
crossed.
it together. We're going to hold each other accountable, wherever it might be. You never know where we get called. Maybe somewhere else that needs us more. So I'm going to be open to the process.
Yeah, of course. And I'm hoping that it's not the same time as the next Rama drama, because I want to go back.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Very good point. Very good point. And we should say that's how we met at Rama Drama.
Yes.
For people watching that haven't been, I mean, what an amazing experience. I enjoyed the first one so much. And then the second one was so fun and so much going on. Nicole, you and I barely even had a chance to talk, It was we were like, hi, a couple pictures. Hi, okay. And, it was, but that's why people were there. And it's so many fans, and the interaction. And I was doing a little Christmas camp booth where HarperCollins had given me this special edition hardcover book to give away, and only 100 copies. That's all that would be left. And so I was doing that. And that reminds me, okay, yes, before, because I know as we get closer to wrapping, I don't want to forget, this is new. Yeah. See, I forget, glad I said giveaways. So
Yes.
this year, remember I said they were doing a couple things I'd never done before. One of them was jumping on TikTok. So find me at Karen Schaler. Be kind. Remember, I gave the lecture of being kind. I was all of this really connects if you listen to it backwards. No, but if you seriously be kind. But I love tips, please. Besides telling me to slow down, because I think in TikTok you're supposed to talk fast. It's the first place I fit in. But what I did, because of Rama Drama, so many people came and they brought their books, and I did autograph copies, which was what I was doing, nonstop autographs. And I realized so many people were like, oh, I wish you could be here. I wish you could be there. And especially with the pandemic. And so I saw another author, especially back in the older days, they did, and I didn't know what they were. Have you ever heard of book plates? You
Not until recently, no.
Yeah, I had not heard of them either. And so what they are, and I created this one because in this story, this is the one that's just come out. There's a Holly Peak. And you know what? I didn't even realize, this just shows you. As I was writing Holly Peak, I'm like, oh, I really like that. I go, was that my Toni Braxton movie? I think there was one line about a Holly Peak neighborhood. I'm like, probably. But then I just kept writing it. No. Christmas Camp, there's a Holly Peak, my first novel. So it just shows you where my brain was. This is a different Holly Peak, but I thought I just noticed that yesterday. So anyway, I created little Holly. And
I love that.
This is what I always say, always believe. This is actually a sticker. And then what I do is I'll put the personal name. So I did this so everyone could get an autographed copy, because I felt so bad. Not everyone can come to Rama Drama or come to book signings, especially nowadays. So I said, all you have to do, and see what you do, is that then it sticks on. That's why the title pages, don't look at my terrible, I need a manicure and pedicure desperately. Woo-hoo. So of course you put it on a lot better than that. But what I told people, and I've said it a couple times, and I've gotten hundreds envelopes. These are just, I grabbed them from the pile because people are like, where is my goodies, Karen? And the little elves are bringing it to me all the time. But I brought a couple different ones to show, because this one is from a foreign country. So I said, hey, you can do that. And what I've asked is, we should open this one. We should open this one up, because I haven't. I've been waiting. It says airmail par avion. So I'm guessing France. I'm not sure. But all you have to do is send me a self-addressed stamped envelope. And then I better finish my thingy here. Then I will sign a book plate for you. So like if it was Nicole, you would say Nicole. I would sign the book plate that probably, it's probably still in the book. Hold on, where'd it go? My showing. I've got to learn better show and tell here. There it is. So I will sign the book plate, but I think you got one, Nicole. This became a thing too, because I'm a screenwriter. I started that, and then the author. I'm kind of new to the world, and I'm learning. And everyone's like, you need bookmarks. And then they're like, and they need to be collectible. You need to keep a place to write. So HarperCollins, the first year, created these beautiful, similar style. So I basically, kept the same theme, because what I love on the back, the other books. So if you like it, so it's always the new book. So every year now, it's my commitment. I do, and they're signed. So apparently that means they're collectible. It's like a thing in the author world. So then the reason it has to be a legal size is I can put this and this, and I send it back. So they're totally free. So let's open this together. Okay, I'm going to see. I don't know where it's from. Some people send me like that's why it took so long, because they write notes, and then I'm reading them, and I have so much fun. Oh, there's a note. See, I get super excited when there's a note. Even if I even told people, I get it, you're busy. Just send me the names that you want. See, this person did it perfectly. So here it is. Oh, look at where this is going. This is going to Canada. Irish town. Oh, I probably shouldn't have shown name. I don't think Jocelyn will mind. Will you, Jocelyn? You seem like a friendly person, because you wrote me a little note, and on the note it says who to write the book plate to. I won't say, because I think it's a Christmas gift. And it has a couple different people, and it says, thank you, Merry Christmas. Oh, so sweet.
That is
and
really
that's
sweet.
what I said. I go, let's say you have 5 people. I can do 5, stick it in the envelope. It's a great Christmas gift. And if you're someone that has my old books, and maybe this year finances are tight and you just can't swing it, it can be for one of the old books, and then everyone can have autographed copies. So I got a PO box. The elves did, not me, of course. So the PO box, and the elves go, and now, and I say that, and y'all know I have no helpers. I have imaginary elves in my mind. But because I said that the other day, and somebody wrote, can I be an elf? I'd love to apply, as one of your helpers. I'm like, oh my goodness, I really wish I had elves. I mean, I need help, but I don't actually have real ones, because I was saying the elves do this, the elves do that, and they actually were applying to be an elf, which is super awesome. And maybe next year I'm going to have, we had Christmas camp, and I had all these people that wanted to volunteer as Christmas campers. I have a clothing line. We have all these Christmas camp things. Oh, and that's my other thing. So first of all, go on my website, which is karenschaler.com. we'll do a link. And when you scroll down by my new book, it'll say free autograph swag, because right now the free autograph swag is the bookmarks and that. And then it says free Christmas camp guide. And what I do, and people love this, Nicole, and I just updated it. So it's ready. It's ready for you guys. Super excited. So every year, I started it the first year. So I was like 2018. And I put recipes in the back of my books. So like, and I thought that was fun, especially when you're doing movies, you talk about a certain Christmas cookies. So here's an example. I don't know what it's showing there. What does it say? The rum
Christmas.
balls.
Yeah, rum balls.
Okay. Yum, yum, yum. And then there's a non-alcoholic version if you don't like alcohol. But so what I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun to take all the recipes and all these activities from my movies and books and do a DIY Christmas camp? And this happened with the pandemic because, okay, I can't hold Christmas camps anymore, just like Rama Drama. Maybe you can't come, maybe it's too far away, maybe it's in the budget. So no matter where you are, on the same website, you just go where this book is and you'll see free DIY Christmas camp guide. It's up to 20 pages and it's recipes, activities, it's insider stuff. It's just so much fun. And I add to it all the time. So in the Audible project that's coming out December 1st, there'll be something there. I mean, I'm constantly adding and it's getting bigger and bigger. It's going to be its own book pretty soon. I've had people that want to expand it into like a real book where I would put it on Amazon, and really create it. But right now it's just this really fun, downloadable, another extra little freebie. And I always forget to tell people because it was supposed to be ready when the book comes out. So whenever I tell people when the book comes out, there's a new guide. But this year, like I said, I'm just a little bit late on everything. So yeah. I think it's all going to work out, right? It's all going to work out in the grand scheme. But I wanted your viewers to know that there's all sorts of fun freebies for them there.
That's awesome. I can't wait to check it out.
Yay. Oh, and wait, one more. See, I knew it. Goodreads. Anyone that does Goodreads, I'm giving away 5 autographed copies. It's, again, free to enter. You just go to Goodreads. And I just gave away 100 ebooks. So that ended on the 12th. This one goes all the way to like November 11th. So you still have like a week and a half to enter that. I should just have like a note in front of me where I say giveaways. And that's what people want. We always tell people they have to wait till the end, right? Like we've given them the end to tell the audio story, but I should say it right up front because that's what I want to do is share some fun things with people. It's the Christmas spirit. We have to do giveaways.
Yes, of course. So before we get to your Audible project, I have one more question.
Oh, goody. I'm here for it.
Your first screenplay you mentioned was Christmas Prince, which is for Netflix. Could you share a little bit about that and how that idea came about for that story?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Thank you. I love telling this story, especially because, it hopefully will help inspire other people that are writing. So the way that happened is just like probably all of you guys watching, I grew up loving the Hallmark Christmas movies. I actually watched it when it was Lifetime first had Christmas movies, and then it was Hallmark. That's how old I am, you guys, dating myself. But I always loved the heartfelt, uplifting, feel-good, family-friendly, clean content. I knew I could count on a happily ever after. And so I called it like my Hallmark therapy, just like I had travel therapy, I had Hallmark therapy. And so it was always really important to me. And so when I was doing my travel show, traveling all over nonstop, really busy, I was laid up where I had to have a surgery where they said I couldn't travel for 3 weeks. And it was right before the holidays. And I remember being pretty devastated because it's my life to travel and it's my show. And I was watching my therapy, my, Hallmark movies at the time. And I always had wanted to write one. I had taken a screenwriting class in college. I'd always wanted to write movies, but, I'm a journalist. And I thought, well, someday I'll be a journalist and I'll write novels and then maybe I can adapt. I know how hard it is to break in when you don't know anybody and all that. So long story short, I took the 3 weeks and said, I just started watching Hallmark stories a little differently with a notepad and pen and said, okay, the first commercial break is always between 17 and 18 minutes. This was back in like 2017-ish. Yeah, right around there, early. Oh, no, maybe is that right? Because it came out, trying to think, it came out in 2017. So it would have been the Christmas prior, probably. Yeah, from the time that it actually got made. So I'm sitting there and I was writing all these tips and, the boy and the girl, they meet at this point. So I studied it just like I'd studied an investigative story. And then I had, this idea, and it was not Christmas. I knew a lot of people made Christmas, but I thought Christmas would be too competitive. And so it was just like a summer rom-com-esque type thing. And then I started researching all of the people. Well, first of all, I didn't know any better. That's why I tell people, all you got to do is watch my TikToks and watch this, and you'll get all the secret sauce that I didn't know and would have saved me a lot of grief. But at the time, Hallmark was not creating their own content. Now they are, right? They do. But at the time they weren't. They were all independent producers were making it that Hallmark was, paying and hiring, bringing them in. And so I reached out to Hallmark. I did the research of the top like development heads and wasn't even sure of the chain of how this all worked. And I remember I got somebody who said, oh yeah, this looks like, and I did a log line. That's all I sent. And they said, well, who's your agent? Who's your manager? I don't see you on IMDb. And we don't make the movies. That would be, you need to find a production company. So first of all, I was like, okay, IMDb, how do you don't have a credit? You can't, so I was like, doot, doot. Although I realized my TV stuff as a reporter, I could get on that way, but it still wasn't the kind of credit they were looking for. And I didn't have a manager. I didn't have an agent, but I could research. That's what I did for a living, as a reporter. So I started looking at the shows that I liked the best. And this is the 101 tips is what did I like? There's so many of them, right? But certain ones are going to gravitate towards, whether it's the actors or the storytelling or maybe the scenery, there's something that's going to grab you. I made a list. I started going down the line. I used that IMDb and I put in names of executive producers, and you'll notice in the Christmas world, especially the Christmas world, but in the Hallmark world, the same names start coming up. So you'll start realizing there's only a small group of producers that are really doing a large majority of the work, especially back then. Now it's opened up a lot more, but especially back then. So I kept seeing certain names that I thought, oh yeah. So I sent blind query letters, hi, like emails. And I always had a good subject line, but I'm like, hi, I'm so-and-so. Didn't hear anything from anybody. And one I'd get back, well, we can't talk to you because you don't have an agent or a lawyer or anybody. I was like, So I kept trying. And I found this one producer, instead of, let's say he was, Searchlight, which it obviously was not, but Searchlight Entertainment. Instead of doing Tom at Searchlight Entertainment, I kept Googling and found Tom's personal Gmail address.
Oh, wow.
And I sent it there because I thought an assistant, is not letting my stuff go through, I'm sure. And so sure enough, I got this email back that I could tell was from a cell phone that said, I don't know how I even got this and how this got by my assistant, but this is exactly what we do. Send me the script. So I was like, yes, So I send the script and he liked it. And he says, oh yeah, I want to make this. I love it. So-and-so, we love it. But right now I just finished a royal story for Hallmark. I need another one. Do you have a royal story? And of course I tell everyone, they know the story. I did not, that was my only script, and spec means I wrote it on my own time. It's speculation, meaning nobody paid me. That's my resume. Yeah. A lot of people have asked, not, in the industry, like, what is that spec script? I got that on TikTok a lot. And so then he said, you have a royal story. So this is the answer to, I had to think really quickly because I didn't want this producer to go away. I felt like I finally had somebody that was talking to me. So I said, yes, I absolutely do. And he said, make sure you look at titles. Titles are important. Do the research. Talk to me after the first of the year because it's right before Christmas. So I didn't just talk to him. I wrote it. I found a story. And what I did is I pulled from my real life in travel therapy when I was doing my travel show, which is uplifting, inspiring, all positive. UK tourism brought me over to Wales, to the Isle of Anglesey, because that's where Prince William and Kate had lived when he was serving, Prince William was serving in the Royal Air Force. And they lived on this beautiful Welsh island in this little community. And they had now gone back to London, and tourism wanted to take advantage of saying, hey, walk in the footsteps of royalty. For us Americans that are obsessed, with royalty, this is where Will and Kate's favorite burger is. This is the walk on the beach. This is where she went grocery shopping. So I was with tourism to take me to all these places. Only when we got there, even though I'm with tourism, so this is a positive, uplifting piece to help them. Every time the tourism said, oh yes, talk to so-and-so because Will did this or Kate did that, nobody would talk to me. They all thought I was like paparazzi. They refused to even acknowledge anything. Tourism people were like, come on, no, hey, this is why we brought this girl from America. And I tell the story, and honestly, at first I was like, wait, why am I here? This is awkward. Like they hated me, and I'm really friendly and I do only positive, inspiring stuff. So I was like, little ego, more like to the heart. And then I thought about it. I remember we were sitting at a pub there and nobody had talked to us. And I thought, you know what? Good for them. I said, look at what this family has gone through. I remember where I was when I found out about Princess Di. I remember the moment, the time. I remember every moment of that. And I was in journalism and media. And I remember how it made me feel I try to do stories that help people and look at this, and being still part of the media, and all of that. And I just said, well, I don't blame them. Well, I stayed the next day, and long story short, I won them over. They bottom line started to trust me. They saw my website. They started looking at my things, on their own. And then everybody realized I was there to help. And I was there on, not trying to get any dirt or anything that hadn't already been shared, not asking them to tell any secrets, just, things are always in the press. And I was only asking, and to be honest, I wasn't even asking, this was UK Tourism had set it up. They were asking. So anyway, it really stuck with me, that story. It turned out to be 3 beautiful stories. I really proud of that work. So now fast forward, I have a producer asking me, do you have a royal story? And it's always write what you know, right? And so I thought, what if it's a reporter? And I always have a little lesson in my stories. I don't mean to, but it must be the producer in me. There's always the moral of the story is type of a thing. And it's always pretty relevant to the times. And again, probably my background as a news reporter sneaking in. But I thought, what if there's a reporter that's struggling? She's trying to be, like freelance, trying to be made, trying to get her big opportunity. And she finally gets this story to do, kind of go undercover and get the scoop on this Playboy prince. Only she gets there because he's all over the news, and keep in mind, this was before that. We've seen so many takeoffs of A Christmas Prince or these kind of stories. So it was kind of fresh and fun then with the idea. And yet when she gets there, she finds out that he's not the Playboy. Then what do you do? Because now you're not going to have a job, now you're not going to have this and the rest of the story. So when I wrote the original story, there was a lot of things that were different, when you write the original, and then I got notes back and then I wrote it again. But you got to remember, it was being written for Hallmark, because that's what I was told. It was even in my contract in the pay, not from Hallmark, but from this producer. This is who, and I found an agent, kind of a one-off, because it's like, hey, who wants a free commission? I need help, with my contract, and I need a lawyer, and I need this. And so I had great team and all of that helping me with this one project. And then I didn't know, again, the same exact thing. I did the notes, everything's great. It gets bought, it's greenlit. They're moving on. Everything's fantastic. So I'm like, fantastic. You need anything? I'm here. You know where to find me. Hello. It's kind of how it is when you're a writer. Yeah, the project takes off and you're kind of back there looking in. And then I found out from actually a friend had said, do you know your movie's coming out on Netflix this week? And I'm like, excuse me, what? What are you talking about? No. I have a Hallmark movie coming out. I don't know what date yet, but yeah. So that's how I found out that my movie was going to be.
I love that story.
Yeah. So I think it's such a great story. And we have talked about the sequels. I mean, it was obvious, the sequels. I mean, it's not like we created anything super creative. I mean, you always, just like Christmas Camp, we have the Christmas Camp, then it's Christmas Camp Wedding, right? Then it'd be Christmas Camp Baby. I mean, these are what people want to know. It's the natural progression. Kind of my pet peeve. You watch these beautiful Hallmark movies and Lifetime Netflix, and they have this kiss at the end, and you want to know. I want to know the journey. I want to know what next. I want to know the realistic, So that's why you probably love the TV series. Like I just watched the end of Chesapeake Shores, and I did really too. Honored. Well, I was honored to meet Dan Paulson, the creator behind that. And it was right after Christmas Prince came out. He was amazing. I met with him when I was in Vancouver, Canada. Such a good human, such a good guy. I would love, we talked about trying to find a way to work together, but then that was right before Chesapeake came out. Yeah. And then of course he took off, and then I was off on 3 movies and 3 novels and things like that. But it's a good example of watching that show grow and those characters and falling in love and bringing new characters in, which is always hard, right? You know, I mean, we saw Jesse at Rama Drama, the first Rama Drama, Jesse Metcalf was at. And, and of course he moved on, and then, new love interests come in, for Abby, the character and what have you. But I think that it would be fun to work on a series, because I get so in love with my characters, which is why it also helps to write the books, because I can do more. And I just don't want them to end. Are you like that on the one-offs? I feel like
I wasn't ready for it to end.
I know. Somebody just said that about my book. They're like, I love it, but I'm so upset with you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is, it's like on a Facebook. What did I do? I thought, oh, did I say something that offended? I try not to do that. And they said, well, no, I got 0 work done, because I started reading it and I had to read it all in one day. It was last weekend, right after it came out. And then she goes, and now I'm really upset, because now I need to know more, because, I try to leave mine, there's a lot still that needs to, and it's just because I think I want them to be more realistic. Mine aren't like, oh, we kiss and we're going to I love you. We're going to get married. It's like, let's go for this. Let's try this. But you're not sure. I mean, of course we think there's going to be a happily ever after, but we know there's more coming. Christmas Camp Wedding, which is a novella. So it's really short. It's on actually, oh, and I don't get any royalties for this. Wait, do I? It's HarperCollins. I don't think so. I don't think I do on that one, but because I was going to say, I don't get anything for this. I'm not advertising, but then I'm like, wait, maybe I do. But usually I think it's $4 or $5.99, and it's a special right now for $1.99. It's one of those Amazon deals. So if you watched Christmas Camp or you read the Christmas Camp book and you never read Christmas Camp Wedding, this is your chance to get your sequel for like $2. Yay. And before I forget, that reminds me, so we're talking, especially when we're talking about a Christmas Prince, it's the perfect transition. I was asked by Terry Wilson, and Hallmark fans will know her work as an author because she did the Darcy series, which we love, right? So she is also a royal aficionado. She loves all things royal. So she has put together a group of best-selling authors to do a royal anthology, and it's coming out in the spring. And I've been blessed to be one of the ones asked. I believe there's 24 of us. We're all doing short stories, and because it's on right now Amazon on pre-sale, 99 cents. And there's going to be, there's like 23 of us. I think that's 4 cents a piece, for our stories. If you break it down. Now I can't tell you what it's going to be when it goes for sale. So it could be $16.99 or, it could be higher. I don't know. It's the ebook right now. And then what we'll do is we all get our rights back, and then we can release our stories, our short stories, like in Kindle, we can put it in Kindle in KU or wherever we want to put it. I'm still learning all of that, but that would be my first summer. I'm working on 2 summer rom-coms, movie features, and 1 TV series right now that I'm hoping the TV series will go forward, but you know how those things are, working away.
Fingers crossed.
I'm in the world of that summer kind of rom-com that, not Christmas. And so to do the Royal Anthology is going to be fun. So it's called Royal. Can't miss that. And also Google, you can go to my website, KarenSchaler.com, and click books. It's right there. It's on all my websites too. It's really pretty. I'm sure you're going to recognize tons of the authors. And the forward is done by, and oh my goodness, I'm forgetting her name. Who's the one that just had a royal release? Like, she's the royal queen of royal romance. I mean, best New York bestseller. She's amazing. Anyway, she did the forward, super famous. And now I just totally forgot her name. Don't watch this. I'm bleeding tired, but yeah. So, and somehow between then and there of writing the movies and all the other things I'm working on, I have to write that anthology quickly. I mean, my portion of it. And to give you guys an idea of what that is, because I think it's fun. So like this book, which is like the average, and some authors write a lot smaller, but an average novel is about between 360, 390 pages. And that's between 99 and 110,000 words, if you want to break it into words. And so some authors write 260 pages, which is fine. I wish I could, because that would be less work and less for you to read. But my stories, my characters obviously must talk like I do and just go on and on, much more interestingly than I do though. But yeah, so an anthology, we're all told, so you think if this is 90,000 words, a regular book, we're all tasked to write between 10 and 15,000. Oh, wow. So it's a snippet short story. And those are hard, you guys, because you got to do the whole boy meets girl, all these things happen. But I can tell you the name of mine, and I'm still working. I know the beginning and end, and I'm still working on all the fun. It's called Royal Extra After, as in movie extra. And I'm looking at having it be a real life princess. It's at the Plaza in New York, because I saw something's always loosely inspired. And she takes a break from this big event that she's hosting and goes down to walk in Central Park, where they're shooting a big, huge movie. And it's a Bridgerton type movie where there's everything going on. And somebody mistakes her because she's dressed in her big, beautiful, she's her crown and, very regally, and she has her bodyguard with her. They mistake them for extras and try and get him into the extra line, to where the director comes and goes, no, she is all wrong. That is so fake looking, and here she is, like the real princess. And he's like, no, send her back to wardrobe. And she's like, excuse me, where obviously she has an issue with what he's portraying. She said is completely inaccurate and wrong, and she totally calls him out. So it's going to be between how they kind of save each other, in a sense, because she's also looking to have a bit of more of a life than the kind of sheltered life she's had. But I think it'll be really funny, because I saw a scene similar to that where someone was mistaken in this big movie as an extra and kind of drug in, and they just played along with it for a little bit. Which I think is fun. So yeah, so that's mine. But let me tell you, I've been reading all the log lines to all of them. Oh, they're amazing. So
I can't wait to read.
Royal themed at all. And any producers out there listening, right? I mean, I know the people the royal ones that do them. I don't know how that would work. I guess you could find, what an easy way, 10,000 words to pick your story instead of reading these complete novels. I'm sure book scouts will be gobbling these up to look to see if there's
Yeah.
any royal-esque type. The next
Aw.
Princess Bride is in there, maybe.
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm really happy for you with
Oh, thank you.
everything coming up. So,
Oh, it's so exciting. And like I said, I know we saved it for last, but my Audible project, I'm so over the moon about that. So that's just going to be probably one of the most special projects I've ever done. And it's in the world of three new things. I've never written audio, meaning audio specific.
mhm.
And let me tell you, Nicole, it's been such an experience because when they reached out to me and they knew about me writing screenplays and movies and novels, and they said, we want a romantic comedy that's fresh and fun. And, we know this is what you write. Do you have anything? We need it for this Christmas. And it's our only multicast, and it's called an Audible Original, a scripted Audible Original multicast. And so if you're in the Audible Original program where it's a subscribe, it drops December 1st. You all know more, but you can also pre-order it, which we'll be talking about. So I'm not supposed to talk too much about it until the pre-order link is up, but I got to help on this. So remember I said, as a writer of a feature, you're not very involved,
Yes.
and I know that's different in every situation. But if you talk to 95% of feature writers, they're going to have a similar story to mine. You're going to be involved in unless you're, one of like Aaron Sorkin or somebody, you're going to be involved in the back and forth and the rewriting. Often you're replaced as a writer as new voices come in to, make this, especially the bigger budgets, more at stake. They want as many people that they can to make sure it's perfect. Sometimes that's one person, sometimes that's 10 people. But all of that said, you don't often get involved in casting or decision making of the promos or things like that. But in Audible, what I was so attracted to is that it's such a collaborative process. And so not only did they get to bring in my voice, and I got to share a little bit about Christmas and my take on what I think would make a fresh content. They asked me for my wish list of people to star in it. And while obviously normally audio actors, which by the way, I don't know how they do it, because you think about it, like if you have your favorite actor, if you have your George Clooney, he's acting with his eyes. He doesn't have to say a word. He can roll his eyes, or just what he's wearing will tell you, oh, he's suave, or oh, he's a bum, just by his clothes will speak. But when you're a voice actor, you have nothing. No one can see your face. No one can see your clothes. No one can, see. You only have your voice, and you have to act and bring a world alive with your voice, which I think is so hard. And so when they asked me, I'm sure, they were sending me these amazing voice actors that are really well known in the space. But because I'd been to Rama Drama a couple times, I thought, wouldn't it be cool to bring a Hallmark or Lifetime Netflix, but in this case, it was Hallmark. Wouldn't it be cool to bring a star that the audience knows and knows me from screenwriting into the Audible space where maybe they don't know? And wouldn't it be awesome? And I had this person in my head because he had such an amazing, deep, rich voice, because you really want it to stand out, and you got to carry 2 hours with your voice. And so it was such a magical story where, first I had to even ask if they would consider, and they're like, well, send his tape, his audition. And he didn't have any of that because he has not done audio before, from what he told me. And I talked to him, and he said he was absolutely open to the idea. He likes new things. And that's what I love about him. He was so excited. He was very humble about, he's such an amazing actor, but he's saying, hey, this is a new space and I'd love to learn. That's what you want to work with, someone that wants to learn. And, he just was open, totally down for it. And so then I actually felt like I was playing his agent, because we had to work really quickly. So I just found some interviews he'd done and just put them together and sent them to the Audible head honchos and said, here's his voice, and because, here you go. And they were like, okay, well, let's see if we can make the contract happen fast enough, because it needed to move quickly to make it for this year. And so while I was at Rama Drama, of course, he and I had talked, and we're not personal friends. It's not like I knew him or anything like that. I mean, I basically met him like I met you, Nicole, like, hi, nice to meet you. But he was so great. And at Rama Drama, he said, we're doing the deal. We're doing it. We're making it happen. And I just listened for the first time a couple of days ago, the final file. So I get to be involved in that, where I'm listening, where I can say, oh, wait, can the Christmas tree sound a little more like this? Oh, wait, that sounds a little high. I get to be involved in all of it. I got to be involved with the cover art. I got to give my ideas, and I have learned so much. It's 90% they're teaching me this Audible space and this storytelling. And it's helped my writing, all my writing. It's helped my book writing. It's helped my movie writing, because now I'm writing sounds like feet crunching in the snow, so it's like a 360 approach, where now I can have listeners, readers, and viewers, I can kind of hit them all. And the story, and I'm not just saying this because I love all my stories, but this one is special, Nicole. This one, I have an Audible, Rose. She's amazing. The one I'm working with, she's executive editor there. She's phenomenal. So she's done a lot for a lot of years of storytelling. And she said that she got chills and teared up. I got chills and teared up, plus laughing out loud, like dying of laughing, because it's a romantic comedy. And it just has so much heart. And I can tell you the name of it. And then I want you to tell me some ideas of who you think would be cast as the star we're talking about. But the name that we saved, because it's so important to the story, is Once Upon a Christmas Carol. And it means as in songs, because there are classic Christmas songs. And I even wrote an original song for it. I am not a songwriter. I always say Riley Weston, who I met at Rama Drama, a wonderful writer. Yeah. She's amazing. And she is a singer-songwriter. But I did a mashup of some classics. So I cheated a little, with that. I wasn't like I came up with completely original lyrics, but I'll tell you what, mashups are hard too. But we have such an amazing cast, and it's just going to be amazing. And it's, like I said, it's dropping on December 1st. I'll have all of that on the website. I'll have all of that coming up, but it is so special. I want it to be the kind of story that you'll listen to over and over. And I think we're so busy. We're watching movies, we're reading books, but this is something you can listen to in the car, or if you're traveling or flying home for Christmas, or you're just with family. I just think it's just going to be something magical. So on that note, do you have any guesses? Or I think I might have the cat out of the bag. I might have secretly told you, because technically they have to announce, but I was given special permission when I talk to podcasts that have a loyal following that would know who this person is. Yes. So, and let me tell you, I had a list, because all of the Hallmark guys that I met at Rama Drama are amazing. And I love what Gabrielle, the Rama Drama founder, said. She's so cute. When I was reaching out, I had my little list. And I did have the person that I was fortunate enough to get, that we were fortunate enough to get, as my first choice, because I heard him in my head, kind of sounds crazy, but just because I thought, okay, the voice has really got to be the star, the voice, and who can act, like who can do this hard task that I'm asking. And, but then I had like so many others, and there were certain reasons for other people that I thought was perfect, because this star in our story has a daughter, has a 12-year-old daughter. So is a single dad. So that kind of came into play. I was thinking of that, originally, but okay. So what do you think? I'm letting people, if they're out there, like listening, think of some of their names. Like what comes to the first mind when I say Hallmark Christmas star, beautiful voice that would really resonate, the voice?
Let's see. I'll give a few of my favorites. Okay. Perfect. So
they're all good, but some voices are different or better for audio, I guess.
Okay, so my first one, I would have to say would be,
and I won't say yet. I won't make a face.
Okay. Eric Mabius from Signed, Sealed, Delivered.
And tell me why.
Well, I think he has a great voice, and all the Postables, we always enjoy and love his narrations that he does as Oliver in the movies. They are always amazing. Tyler Hines. Yes.
Tyler. Everybody guesses Tyler because he has that great voice and very distinctive. I love Tyler. I mean, everybody loves Tyler. Everybody loves Eric too. I mean, but that's what I said with Gabrielle when I said, well, is there anyone you think would be easier or more approachable? Because I don't have, I was playing manager or agent, trying to connect this person with Audible. Yeah. And she was like, Karen, I only bring people that are approachable. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that was Gabrielle. So that was a very good point, that every single actor I met there was amazing.
Yes.
And I would have felt comfortable enough to say, hey, I have a project, interested, not, and I believe it or not, I'm a little shy. I mean, it doesn't seem like it, but when it's asking someone I don't know, and I'll talk to anybody about my projects, but that's kind of a different role for me to go up to someone that I don't, and it doesn't matter that if they're a star or if they're, a producer. It's just, there's that, I don't know. I hate asking anybody for anything. Although I do believe this was a great opportunity. So I was like, this is an amazing opportunity.
Yes. I'll give two more.
Okay, tell me why Tyler? Why do you hear his voice like in an audio? Because I'm hoping to do more. So I'm getting in feedback from you guys, because I want to know from the fans and people like yourself that are on both sides of it, like the fans and a professional. why you think Tyler's voice would be good.
I think he has a very distinctive voice too, like you mentioned. So,
Yeah.
and of course,
Okay,
he's
good.
a nice guy as well. So everyone is so kind.
Exactly.
And then my two other choices are Andrew Walker and Ryan Pavey. And Wes Brown is good too.
Exactly. Well, Wes, I immediately thought of because he, in real life, I've seen on social media, and he has shared that has a daughter.
Yes.
And I thought, okay, he's a dad. Like he could totally, I mean, and then I'm like, Karen, they're all actors. They can play dads, they can play, so I had to, it's not typecasting to find the exact person, but I just think Wes he's been so kind,
so
and
sweet,
he is a musician. And in this, it is a musical because there is singing in here, and it's based, there's a musical thread that goes throughout because there's a mystery. It's a love story, but there is a little bit of there's clues that come from classic Christmas carols. They're
I love that.
So there's all these fun things, and I'll tell you more when it comes out, but the opening theme song, which also goes with the narrator, which I'll tell you in the end when we're done picking this, a quick sidebar on that, was picked very, very carefully to honor the Ukraine, and what was happening. And so I can tell a little bit more about that. And when I heard it, it was even more magical. But a lot of people don't know that one of our most famous classic Christmas carols was actually a Ukrainian folk song.
Oh, wow.
And it's the song Carol of the Bells. And I do not sing it all, but it's that one that goes dun 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 dun. Yeah. And so I have always loved that song. And the lyrics actually came in the US, but the melody and the music, it was a Ukrainian folk song. And I thought, what a small way to just honor the struggle and everything that they're going through. And maybe if one Ukrainian person heard it and gave them some comfort. So that was something that I was so excited about. And I haven't told anyone until I heard the final files, it could have got cut, right? You never know. So I didn't want to tell anybody, but it's everything. The song is the opening, the song, every time there's a narrator like Bridgerton-esque, where there's the music plays and then there's the all-knowing narrator. When they asked me who I wanted for it, I said Julie Andrews, of course. That's who does the narration for Bridgerton. I'm sure Shonda doesn't mind. Just bring Julie Andrews over to us, please. But I wanted that regal, elegant, all-knowing voice, that thread. And because Bridgerton, I just love the way that story was told. And I think audio-wise, a song will be a cue that every time you hear the song, here's going to be something important. You need to hear this. This is going to thread it together. Because like I said, writing an audio story is so much different. But going back now to our last two gentlemen. So tell me for each why you think they would be good.
Andrew has a very distinctive voice too.
Love Andrew. I met Andrew for the first time at Rama Drama this last time. Yeah.
Andrew is amazing.
He's so great.
Yes. And Ryan has a very distinctive voice.
Exactly. Well, okay, drum roll. I picked, and the voice that was in my head, it might have been because I have interviewed Terry Wilson before, and I adore her Mr. Darcy stories, and I adore that very deep Mr. Darcy voice, which would be the amazing Ryan Pavey.
Ryan Pavey.
And so I just think his voice resonates with me. He has such clear diction as well. And it's just when I hear his voice, it's just smooth. And I think one of the heads of Audible at the project said that it sounded like, a silky hot chocolate. That, that he just sounded that silky, just that voice that you just want to listen to. And you have to have that. So I am so honored that Ryan is my guy, or should say Audible's guy. And I really believe that he'll do so much more for Audible because they loved him. They said he was fantastic to work with. And I know he was doing so much at the time. And what I can't believe is, okay, we know that Hallmark, today is Friday, and Hallmark is starting their Christmas movies. So Ryan, we all know, of course, is going to have a Christmas movie. So when I asked him to do this, that means his movie could be anywhere from now to Christmas. Well, our audio project's coming out December 1st. I just found out that Ryan's Christmas movie, I think it's December 3rd. I mean, what are the odds? So. It's like, it's right there. I'm like, oh my goodness, the same week.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I know. I kind of wished it was different so he could spread out the love, but hey, it's going to be a week of Ryan Pavey that you do not want to miss, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
So I'm so excited. And hearing his voice, when I very first heard it, I didn't recognize it for 1 second. Like I knew Ryan was coming, I wrote it, of course, but I just did such a good job. Wow. And again, like there's one scene where they're dancing in the snow and they're twirling and, keep in mind, you don't see it. So
Mhm.
how do you make your voice, and it sounded like he was breathless, and it
Mhm.
sounded like she was I mean, it's just, I don't know how they do it. And on that note, so here's another insider for anyone that was at Rama Drama that's listening, because this is crazy. So met Ryan at the first Rama Drama. This all happened because of Rama Drama. Met Ryan at the first Rama Drama in Nashville, heard his voice, saw who he is, great human, just like all of them, just like
Mhm.
everybody you mentioned, so
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yes.
But that's how I had the idea. Like, at least I had met him. I,
Mhm.
knew a little bit. Then at this Rama Drama, we were seeing, if he could do it. At the same time, they were sending me all the other actors that I had to approve
Mhm.
to say, here's my idea, or here, oh, what about this? And we're going back and forth with actors while I'm at Rama Drama. And that was a nonstop from 7 a.m. till midnight every night. So
Mhm.
I lost my voice the second to last day. I did not have COVID. I know
Oh
a lot
my
of people
goodness.
sadly got it. I was testing every morning
I
to be
did
safe.
too. I got
Yeah,
it.
oh, you did? Oh my gosh, so many people did. And I hated that because everyone tried to
Yeah.
be so careful. So I was, testing, but I have terrible allergies. And whenever I
I
fly,
do
so
too.
I do,
Yeah.
but that's also was similar to the COVID
Mhm.
signs. But anyway, so I'm walking in the hallway. It was really early in the morning, and I'm listening to so our narrator, I said I wanted like Bridgerton, this very important moment, the beginning, this thread throughout, just super important. And there's so much going on.
Mhm.
And I had said I wanted regal Julie Andrews-esque, and I'm listening to these women read, and all of them beautiful voices, but the inflection was wrong at the spot. Like I pictured it, ba 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 ba, and it was like ba ba ba, like it was the writing. And I said, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, did I not put the comma in the right place? Full circle back to comma. Did I literally not put the
Oh my
comma in the right
goodness.
place? Did I not put the little dots? This is me, So I'm thinking, I'm trying to tell, how am I going to explain to
Mhm.
Audible, because it's just an audio thing, the
Mhm.
inflection, because they all did it the same, meaning the director was giving them all the same clues. So I have to figure out a way to explain it. So I'm trying to write it as Siri, as I'm going down the hall at the hotel, getting ready to go over to the convention center. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this is not working. So I said, I'm just going to record it so they can hear the voice. So I send her the email and I said, please forgive, I'm losing my voice. I sound terrible, but to show you the inflection, this is my bad. I'm so sorry, but this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And so I did the inflection to send it back, and she listened and she said, oh, so much better. I totally get it. I'm passing it on to the, people that do this, to get the actors to, redo something. So she comes back an hour later when I'm at Rama Drama and says, you know what? Everyone listened to it. They think you need to be the narrator. And
That
I'm
is
like, wait,
amazing.
what? And I'm like, keep in mind, I've been on TV for 20 years. I'm
Yeah.
certainly not shy, but when you're doing a news story, and I talk slower, I'm reporting the news and usually crime or a war zone. And it's a certain delivery, just like all the newscasters sound alike. There's a skill. It's not fiction. It's not makey believe. It's not Julie Andrews for not even an ounce of a percentage of a pinky of her. And I wanted the narrator to be the most important person, meaning they're all most important, but it's just such a big voice, in it, and small parts, but big meaning. And I said, oh gosh, no. And my voice is never that deep usually. That's just because I have a cold. And they're like, well, no, we think it'd be great to have the author, a fun cameo, and your voice. And that kind of wink to, you wrote it. She's the all-knowing narrator. And we really liked your voice. And so I honestly was going to say no, because I didn't want to ruin my own project. I mean, I have Ryan Pavey and some amazing other actors. I don't want to mess it up with, I don't need a vanity role or anything like that at my stage of my life or ever. I said, I really want the best person. And she said, well, we really think you're it. The way you read it in the heart, you wrote it. And she's like, but you do what you think is best. So I thought about it. And in the world of, what I've said in one of the interviews recently, you always do what you've always done. You'll always get what you've always gotten. And I thought, you know what? I mean, I'm usually fearless, but it's funny when it's my project in my mind, my baby. I don't want anything happen to my baby. That's why I'm happy when people collaborate and change it, make it better. Please, please. And I didn't want to make it not good, but I also am a little bit of a control freak in my own mind of my own career, thinking if it's not perfect, I don't want to put it out there. But then I thought, these are people that have been doing Audible. These are the bosses for years. This is their job. This was the director, the producer, my contact. I think they know a heck of a lot more than you do, Karen, about what works in a voice. And I just got out of my own way. And if the people at Audible thought that my voice was going to be okay, so I recorded it. I go, here, listen to my voice when it's a little more normal, like I'm, and they were like, we still think you. So I am the narrator. I know.
That is so
know.
exciting.
I still, when I listened to it for the first time, when we got the audio back, and, I'm going literally second by second to help out, just another set of ears. I was so scared to hear me because I was like, please, please, please be okay. And I was acting. I had to be more regal. And if you know me, do I seem regal? No, I do not. So first of all, chops, many kudos to every single actor that's ever on camera and audio. I don't know how you do it. Even reading the tiny part that I did to try to bring emotion and all of that. And again, you don't have anything to go with except your voice in Audible and audio projects. I can't believe it. I'm in awe of you. And now that I've listened to all the audio actors, every one of the actors, and I am not saying this, they are so good. They're so good. We got to pick the best of the best because when Audible releases this Christmas, they're going to release some other originals that authors and other writers have written, similar to like what you read when you do a novel, right? Like it'll be 12, 15 hours of one narrator reading the whole thing. Mine's coming out. I have an Audible exclusive. All my stories are on Audible, as an audio. But this is the multicast. This is where you have a full cast of people. It's only 2 hours. It's just like a movie, but without the pictures. And they're only doing one. So it's only one this holiday season that they're doing of the multicast. So I'm so honored. I'm so excited. I think it's going to just touch so many people's hearts. I hope it just brings joy. Of course, my love always Christmas, I feel the same. And I have this really fun high concept Christmas romantic comedy that I had ready probably last year. And then because of some different reasons, I decided to hold off on it. So I literally have my little Christmas Santa bag full of screenplays and TV projects ready to go. And hopefully when we catch up again, I'll have even more projects for you. But I just want to thank you again for having me on and letting me share. And I know I had a lot to share, but like I said, I'd love to hear comments when you post it if anyone's inspired or any more questions. And like I said, feel free to ask, right? Like I'm good. I'll go back on and I'll answer questions for y'all. If anyone has questions about this process, or you can find me on social media, KarenSchaler.com. And then of course I keep saying, because I'm a little obsessed with TikTok at the moment, I'm having a lot of fun. I did one, I'll never dance. I shouldn't say that because watch me dance an elf outfit or something with my imaginary elves. But I'm trying to do tips and behind the scenes and, not be that. But I will say I did one, it's just a fun little one where I was nodding to music. I mean, I didn't dance. I don't think that's a dance. So, all right, Nicola, are you on TikTok?
I'm not.
You guys, Nicole, you got to get on TikTok. Come on. You could do behind the scenes of podcasting. You could be answering tips about podcasting. That's what you could give back. And then you can put, you can put your podcast on there now too. They're allowing longer. You can take
I think so. Yeah, I think I've heard that. Yeah.
I know there's 3 minutes and some creators are doing 10.
That's
I think awesome content, but you could just do little snippets and then you can link it on your bio and people can find you.
That would be awesome.
And the stories you have to tell, Nicole, you have so many good stories.
You.
The people, how many actors do you think you've met that have done less? We'll just stay with Hallmark right now to keep it easy, but how many Hallmark actors do you think you've either met or interviewed in this process of yours?
We have had, I think 7. No, actually I can't count one because one was the costume designer when Calls the Heart. So like 6.
Yeah. Well, okay, but that's still, I'd say anyone involved, like you can count me. So I shouldn't have said actors, anyone involved in making a Christmas movie, producers, designers.
Yeah.
Yes.
So and about 8 really.
And in person, you've met more, maybe not on the podcast, but at Drama or at some of these events, right? When you've gone to. So you've met dozens. You have stories to tell.
Well, thank you.
You do.
We appreciate it. We have I have a fun little rapid fire game to
end off I love
the interview.
Okay. I can do fast. Wait, let me get my little sip of water here.
Okay.
I just spilled. You can't get anywhere.
Okay. Go the entire holiday season without Christmas movies or without Christmas music.
I'm supposed to be rapid. Oh, that's really hard.
It's okay.
Well, only because I don't get to watch Christmas movies during Christmas because I'm usually writing them. So I would normally say, well, I don't get to watch them anyway, but just because I love movies so much. Oh gosh, this is so hard. I'm going to have to say music only because if I knew even though I don't watch them a lot during Christmas, if I knew I couldn't, that wouldn't be Christmas without Christmas movies to me. So, okay. But music is right up there. Oh, I'm going to be doing on Spotify, I'm doing a playlist of 13, 14 songs that helped me write, my inspiration, my crossover for writing Once Upon a Christmas Carol. I was just, we're setting that up. So music's everything and audio's everything. But I think because my tradition goes so far back with the movies, but I don't know. Can I just take a pass on that one? Is that like one of those games on the game show? Because I have a hard time saying no music because music is nostalgia. Yeah. I hear I'll Be Home for Christmas and it makes me cry every time, I mean, I don't know. No, not answering. Sorry. I'm terrible at that. Okay. What would you pick?
My reasoning and what I would pick would be no Christmas music, because then I would have Christmas movies with Christmas music in it.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, good. I'm using that. You cheated. I mean, in a good way. Oh my gosh, that's genius. Okay. I promise the other ones I'll be better. Okay. I'll do the first thought, right? It's supposed to be your first thought.
Ice skating or sledding?
Ice skating.
Yes.
That's funny because I love sledding.
I've never been sledding.
But ice skate. Wait, what? Every one of my stories almost has sledding unless it gets cut. Nicole, okay.
I live in a warmer climate, so I can't.
No. That's going to be my goal. We are taking you sledding. You guys hear this? How can this even be a part of your child? You're going sledding. Oh my goodness. I can't believe that. That's like saying you haven't drank water. I don't even know what you're talking about. Okay. Wow. I actually used to ice skate when I was little, but I love sledding. But ice skating came out first, so I'm going with it.
It looks so much fun. Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Christmas in a small town or in a big city?
Small town.
Same.
Yeah, same. And I mean, even though I love Christmas in New York, it doesn't compete. But like Zermatt, Switzerland, or small town for sure.
Never been to New York at Christmas, but I have been to New York.
Okay, well, we're going to do that in New York at Christmas too. Not as in most, you can sled in Central Park when you go to New York. So let's just make a list. We're going to just, okay, making your list.
Decorate cookies or decorate a gingerbread house?
Oh, you're killing me. A gingerbread house. My birthday's December 19th, and I decorate a gingerbread house every year as a Christmas tradition.
Those are always fun.
But I love decorating cookies. But I would say gingerbread is winning by a tradition. Yeah,
it's about the same for me. Although my gingerbread houses always are an epic fail because the icing goes everywhere.
I know. And then the dots, like I'll put the little dots or the red hots, and then they kind of, if you don't do it right, then they kind of slide down. And you're like, oh. Yeah, I take pictures right away, and then everything is off the bat. I do it. Yeah. I've learned, to not be such a perfectionist. And they have all the ones now, like at Costco and I'm sure in grocery stores, they, they're almost dummy proof. I mean, I've done it where I've actually made the gingerbread and tried to actually make it from scratch.
Oh my goodness.
That's hard. So hard.
Yeah.
I'm sure that has been a Hallmark movie. I believe it has. It probably starred Lacey Chabert because she does all the fun baking stories. I always say I want to write something for her. Actually, I love food behind the scenes. I bet
she did have a gingerbread movie. It was called The Sweetest Christmas, I believe.
How do you remember these things? Oh my gosh, good job. I can't even remember the name of my own movies and books. I'm hiring you, Nicole, to remind me. That is amazing. Okay, what's my next one? I feel like I'm getting faster.
String mile-long popcorn garland or light 500 candles?
500 candles.
Yeah, I love candles.
Me too. I love candles. That one was easy. I love garland too, but candles.
Yes. White elephant gift exchange or Secret Santa?
White elephant is a family tradition my grandma started, so white elephant till the end of days.
Oh my goodness. Never done that.
We have this great, crazy, goofy one that everyone knows about the size. So now last year, whoever gets it takes it home. It's like, no, we bring it back every year. And I have a tiny, small family, so it's not like 100 of us or anything. Yeah. But this year, because I was like, I got it last year, I'm like, oh. So I put it in a little box, a jewelry box, where it says, look under the, closet. Yeah. And I had it hidden. So that was smart of me. So the person got it and had no idea they were getting the crazy. It's like this dancing electrical tree thing that
I love that.
Crazy, felt things that dances and sings with lights and it's crazy. It is the weirdest thing you've ever seen, but it's kind of that awesome. Mr. Potato Head of elephant gifts. It just shows up every year.
That's awesome. We do more of a Secret Santa with my family. I have 9 first cousins, so we draw names. And
that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't know, right?
Yeah, everything's gotten so expensive. So
I know. My family, another tradition of my family, we started doing the same, where we'd have a $25 limit, unless there were kids.
yeah,
And we
it's about
just
the
get
same
each other
for
something.
us.
And then, but then you're asking each other what you want. And then one year, I think COVID, it was gift cards, but I'm like, okay, this is sad.
Yeah.
Let's just not do it. Let's do a Zoom call and call that our gift to each other. It just seemed like the Christmas spirit just wasn't there.
Yeah. All right. There's two more.
Okay.
It's a Wonderful Life or A Miracle on 34th Street.
Miracle 34th Street, because
I love that movie. Yeah.
That I say is similar to my mom, single mom and a daughter, and also the belief in Santa. So I'm all in. That's one of my all-time favorite movies. Usually people ask me that and I won't answer, but I say that I have one of my favorites. And obviously, wait, what was the other one? Not Miracle.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, well, that's one of the most beautiful for so many.
I've never seen that movie. I need to watch it this year.
You have to watch it, because that's such a good lesson for everybody. I tell people to watch my Toni Braxton movie, because my Toni Braxton movie, she wanted to be Scrooge. So it's obviously very loosely based on Charles Dickens' The Christmas Carol, but it's all about making time for things that matter most and the choices you make in your life. And I think it's not your normal Christmas story. I remember even Lifetime execs, when they tested it, because it has some hardship in it, where before it wasn't. That's when everything was just happy and light. Now we're seeing more depth in the stories all the way for all networks. But at that time, that wasn't the case. And people were worried it was going to maybe be a little sad or a little, dramatic. And in the end, it's still one of my, and there's one of my favorite movies. So I say the same. You have to see the classics, but definitely watch. And I think it's on Amazon Prime for like a couple, like literally like $2 or something. But I'm so proud of that story. And I'm so proud of, that's one where I did write every single word, meaning I was there and then I got changed and I got to go on set. So when things had to be changed at the last minute on set, it wasn't like I found out later when I watched it. I got to be there and help make those changes. So that to me was one of the best experiences I could have had. And I learned so much from being on set of that movie. I'm hoping to work with that production company again, because it was such a phenomenal experience. It was amazing.
It sounds like a great movie, and I need to check out that as well.
Okay, I know we have one more left before we wrap. What do we got?
One more. The Santa Claus or Jack Frost with Michael Keaton.
Yes, I love Jack Frost. I actually say Jack Frost. And I'm glad that you asked, because a lot of people don't know that movie. I picked that when I give a list of favorite movies, and I like to pick ones that people don't know about. And I love the story for kind of the same reason. We were talking the other day about, people go, well, Christmas, you don't want it to be too schmaltzy or whatever. I'm like, no, it's Christmas. It's okay. It's supposed to be heartfelt. Like some people are trying to edge it up and all that. And I said, even Elf, which is a silly comedy, is a heartfelt story about a boy trying to find his father, and about a man who's made, a workaholic who's not made the best decisions about family, work-life balance. All of the stories have heart. And I think that I just love Michael Keaton in that. And I just think that story and that love of a father and son, I just think it's absolutely magical. And before we end on the Christmas movie one, I just reminded me last year, a lot of people, I was doing these, blessed to do a lot of media interviews, and somebody asked me to do kind of a playlist of Christmas movies instead. And one of the things I picked, because I was working with, it wasn't a project that I ended up doing, but I was talking, it's kind of a dance when a producer calls and maybe wants to work with you, and they want to see if they want to work with you, and you want to see if you want to work with them. And when we talk about like their vision before you start writing for somebody, and when they were like, well, we don't really care about Christmas that much. We just want to have, we have a story that's a regular one. We're just going to put in a Christmas tree and we're going to do this. And I'm like, well, no, Christmas really should be a theme or a character. I mean, it's Christmas. And they're like, no, we don't really, care about that. We want to be hip, we want to be trendy. We want to be, we don't want it to be, traditional, like a Hallmark movie. This is what we want. And I just was like, you can be fresh and trendy and still have heart and include Christmas in a Christmas story. So anyway, we ended up not, for neither of us, it wasn't a good fit to, and it was just talking, early talking stages, but it really stuck with me. And then it was the year of, I was watching Schitt's Creek, and I really loved the writing on that. And I don't know if anyone out there, if they ever watched it, but it's a good example. It's silly. It's actually brilliantly silly. It's so brilliantly written. I came really late to that party. Literally, I think it was the Oscars where people were watching one of the finales, and everyone, they were saying they were late to the party. And I'm like, okay, I'm late. Now I got to watch it. And so I binged it, like, I think, and, very fast. But an episode, I believe season 4, the final episode is a Christmas episode. And these are 22-minute boom, these are quick episodes. And even if you don't know anything about this story and you've never watched any of these characters, I would just encourage anyone to go and watch this episode of Schitt's Creek season 4, the finale of Christmas, because while it is, you might have heard this crazy over the top show, they still got it. They got exactly what I'd been trying to explain to that producer. They got the heart of Christmas. So here it is, an Emmy Award winning, funny, relevant, just over the top, brilliant show, one of the most popular shows at the time. And they did Christmas still leaning into nostalgia, still leaning into what matters most, still leaning into family. I did too. And so I love telling that, because when people, it's kind of like saying you're Jack Frost, where people are like, what episode, what are you picking? So, oh my gosh, can I just say, those are some of the best questions I've been asked in a lightning round, because they really,
thank you.
I like them, they make me think, but then they're fun to then both of us to share why, right? Then we have our own stories. So I think that's genius of you.
Thank you. I love those movies too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. This was so much fun. Thank you for bringing some Christmas cheer.
Thank you.
I'm up to here and I'm signing books and signing book plates and, the work, which I love, but this is what I really love. I love being able to share stories and hopefully, like I said, inspire and make this connection. And I can't wait to talk again and hopefully have more to share with you. But thanks again for what you do. I can't wait to see all your other episodes. You have some really good ones coming up.
Oh, thank you. Yes. And it was such a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, I had so much fun. Thank you for making the time for me and letting me share on the show.
Of course.
Thank you, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Yes. All right, everyone. I think that wraps up our interview with Karen Schaler. We hope you enjoyed listening. Thank you so much, and we hope you have a great day or night wherever you are in the world, and we will see you next time. We love y'all, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry early Christmas.